of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. Don't know if I'll make it back home. For the ocean, I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. Don't know if I'll make it back home.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the UPL. Here today, you got Travesty on the desk, but I hope you, ladies and gents, are ready for trouble. Make it double. I got Beatdown joining me on the desk, and I also got Deus over here. How's it
Oh
going?
yeah.
How are y'all doing today here?
Good, good. How are you,
Um,
Travi?
Nobody ever asked me that. I'm very confused all of a sudden. Next question. I'm fantastic. It's UPL, baby. It's Friday night. What
Oh.
else? I got the smile on my face. Look at my boy over here onto the side. He's moving around. He got his proving ground fit going on for him over here. It's a great day.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. I'm loving the energy, by the way. Keep it up.
Look, man, we can go all night. We're going around like an Energizer Bunny, but today,
Amazing.
it's not about us. It's not about us at all. We got Bay State College versus AOE Randoms here today for our matchup, and it's going to be a very fun one to watch. Randoms has been a very big team that has been taking the scene by storm here. Beatdown, how are you been feeling watching these two teams going against each other tonight?
Well, I can't say I disagree with you. They've definitely been running the table with their regards to their group on the side of AOE randoms, and there's a good chance they're going to run tonight's matchup too. Spoiler alert, by the way, because realistically, Bay State hasn't been doing as hot, and although this is actually, I think, our first time this split seeing them on broadcast, but the thing we saw them do a lot last split was the the musical chairs jokes, the life is like a box of chocolates jokes. You don't know what you're going to get, because they would always mix up their team members, and it made it really hard to gauge their performance. And I think even with their best roster, they probably won't be able to keep up with AOE randoms, because at this point, everyone else in that group is playing for third.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. It's a big thing. They've made a big impact. Deus, I want to talk about some big impacts that have been made here recently, man. We've been seeing the jungle pool shifting around a lot here as of late. Hecarim finally dead. Is he still kicking? There's all sorts of different things. Morgana has been being played inside the jungle
yeah.
role. It's exciting. How are you feeling about League of Legends right now going into this?
One word. Spicy. It's getting a little hot in the jungle. Rumble with the flamethrower coming in out of the depths of obscurity. I'm too excited. I mean, the Lee Sin top, the Lee Sin mid, I don't even know what's going to go on these days. I'm so excited to see MSI, so I know what's good. I'm joking,
right
by the
there.
way. I mean, I should know my job, but I'm joking.
I thought you really had me going there, especially with the Lee Sin top, but
No, it's actually legitimate.
That's a thing, by the way.
I know it's a thing, but like I don't believe it yet. Like I've seen there are people who are putting Gwen in the jungle though. Like, come on, man.
There's some crazy stuff going on behind the
That's what I'm
scenes.
saying.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's nutty, man. By the way, big fan already, because you start off by talking about Rumble in the Jungle. Been an advocate for it for like the past 3 or 4 weeks now. Please, somebody in the UPL play it. I want to see it. It's so good. But anyways, we're looking at these two teams going against one another. Beatdown, you already touched on it. We do see that AOE Randoms, they have been the front runners inside of this league. They've been the team that has been basically setting the benchmark for what to beat here. I'm going to throw this over to Deus here. Deus, if you have a team that's kind of in the spot where they're, like Bay State, right? You're already seeing the general thing is like, oh wait, Bay State is fighting for third place. They're not fighting for second. You're fighting for third. How are you thinking these players are coming into this matchup, especially like you heard musical chairs last season, seeing what it's going to be popping up for them this time?
Okay. I need to tell you some experience I've had from Dignitas Mirage. We got one saying, all right?
Mm-hmm.
When your backs are against the wall, the army is behind you. You got the devil himself in front of you at third place. One thing always keeps us saying that it's if you had fun, you won. So I'm expecting the boys to have a lot of fun tonight. I'm expecting no excuses, only confidence on the Rift, okay? Don't care about the past roster. You are the roster today. You are standing on the shoulders of giants, my friends. You need to win or you're out. That's it. Go hard or go home.
Is this akin to like the monologues that you hear over in EU in LEC right before a big upset happens?
Of course,
Of course. Before Shocks jinxes Fnatic into a loss. Yeah.
every good coach. We're watching the sports movies. We got our notebook out. Write it down, man. He's patting him on the head, talking about his mom. We got it all good. Just remember, practice what you played. Go in there with confidence. If you already think you're gonna lose, you've lost. That's it. Bay State.
Yeah, I love it, man. I absolutely am in love with it. And Beatdown, want to go ahead and real quick throw it over to you, man. You just heard that awe-inspiring speech now.
Yeah.
Has that turned around anything inside your head here? Are you still kind of looking at AoE randoms? It's like, oh yeah, this is absolutely top runner here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. What he just said makes me want to go play solo queue right now because I now have that hunger to
We are
win myself.
motivated.
Yeah, I'm motivated exactly. And then the thing that I'm motivated to say is AoE randoms are still gonna win.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, with that being said, I mean, I think this would be a great time for us to go ahead and flip up the predictions to show exactly what everybody predicted for the night here. Because, you know, that's the spice that everybody is looking forward to at this current moment in time. And, you know, we had a little bit of some slight differences inside of what everybody decided they wanted to pick. I personally went AoE randoms 2-0.
Respectable.
Respectable. You look over at Beatdown. Beatdown, you have 2-0.
I do.
Respectable.
You know, these things called eyes, and they are working. Although I do have to wear glasses, but so does Deo. So you know, even footing.
Respectable.
Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, Deus, real quick, you're the only person with a different thing here. You got a 2-1
I see.
in favor of BSC. Explain yourself, man.
Okay. Well, I got two reasons. First, there's a low-hanging fruit. Who are these guys? Literally, who are they? I don't know anyone on the enemy team. I've never seen them. Literal randoms. I don't know. I don't know who they are. It's on the team name. Number two, have you seen Serenok on Twitter? He's juiced. He is ready. He is lifting weights IRL to carry the hopes and dreams of his team. If I had to choose, who would I give my money to? It would have to be in Serenok's huge, massive arms. He will carry my beliefs across. They will make playoffs. I believe it. Bay State 2-1. It's going to happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I like that confidence. You have so much confidence. I love to hear it. We'll have to see if BSC is going to be able to live up to those expectations that you just put up there, or to make themselves a little bit lighter for Serenok.
I hope they're listening.
But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting ourselves ready to send it over to our caster crew. We got the Ravishing Ravish and Rebel Thoughts over there onto the side. So, gentlemen, if you would, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, hey, how you doing? Welcome. Thank you, Des, for bringing us in like that. I will be one of your casters of the evening, Ravish, the most ravishing man on the internet, and I'm joined here by my side by you. Hi,
You just called yourself a caster. You want to take that back? That's insulting to my name. That's insulting. I don't appreciate it. Sorry, the shtick can last for so long, but it's appreciated nonetheless. As me and Ravish are going to take over for you tonight. Travis D wanted a chance on the desk. He wanted a chance to cast with the master, and I decided that I would take him on as my humble protege here in the final week of UPL, which is it's going to be a big one. Implications are high for this series.
They are indeed, as you mentioned, the final week of play between these two teams and Bay State. They've got a lot riding on them. This game will definitely decide it all. If they're not able to make this a clean 2-0, and playoffs for them deemed look less than as probable, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness that happens. If Bay State were to lose, then all of a sudden we can get into a three-way tie situation, and then it comes down to game score. Everything goes into complete disarray. Bay State would make everybody's lives a little easier if they just won this game and take away that possibility for everybody else, and potentially just take that playoff spot immediately. But we'll have to see, because obviously they're playing against the number one team in the bracket, the undefeated AoE Randoms, formerly known as Just Randoms, who have been doing phenomenal for the entirety of this split. Expectations on this team are incredibly high, not just to finish finish out this group, but also as we go into the playoff race as well.
5-0 on the side of just randoms here, dude. And like you mentioned, right, they've been absolutely fantastic, fantabulous. Just hold on. What's another F word that's also positive? Tell me. What?
Fun?
What? Sure.
Freaky?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've been fun, freaky. That's you got
Freaky fun.
it. English is not your strong suit, is it?
Aren't you the one that's from Canada? Don't you speak multiple languages?
What's that supposed to mean, bro?
I'm saying I only speak English. So how is that not my expertise?
That's why it's insulting for you to say things like this at this point, because like it's just looking at it. Come on, man! Like you can do so much more, and then you come with fun, freaky, man. It's like I said, at least I have an excuse that which I speak 4 languages. You barely speak 1. Come on,
you speak 4 languages and couldn't come up with one F word that was positive. Instead, you had to make me do it. Is that what you're saying?
I came up with 2. It's called conversation. Have you heard about
it? You picked out the easy ones, man.
Fantastic and fantabulous are easy. All right, but you know what? I'm gonna go talk to Merriam-Webster about that.
Phenomenal.
That starts with a P. Yet again, like I said. Your grasp of the English dictionary is troubling and tragic, absolutely, as you do prepare a draft and get ready to get into it very, very soon, as well between AoE and Bay State. Now, on the side of AoE, the Dean, I do expect to see a lot of camaraderie and a lot of fun picks coming out. Like you mentioned, they're 5-0, especially the roster of Chim, Short Hop, and Pockets, who've been together for just so long.
Yeah, the core is been together for a ridiculously long time. They're exceptionally good players. I think specifically this split, Chim has actually walked into his own, become this incredible player, even walked into the conversation of MVP candidate so far for the UPL split. And I think it's completely well-deserved. I remember back in a time where he was considered a team fighter, not much else, and now he's able to pull out these really solid carry performances as well for the team. And the best part about like randoms is like they've got such a diverse like player count and a diverse champion pool that all of this new meta swapping that they like the desk had talked about to some extent is bound to rear its head in. They already did it in their previous series that we saw just a little bit earlier this week. Bay State was in that similar boat. You think about Serenok's champion pool, you got like Zareth and Zoe. Tristana was there. I know Kiana's been poking her head in, and I'm curious what kinds of unique things that can be brought out from these two teams, given that the patch is so fresh and you're trying to look at this final week to get these dubs, and those crazy picks are some of the sucker punches that you need to try to take it to them.
I mean, so you just said meta schlopping yet again. I'm sure you can come up with different words for along that. For the people at home that that may understand, explain this very wide variety of concepts to them, please.
The wide variety of champion swaps, is that what you're saying? Like the champion meta shifts?
Okay, yeah, like you mentioned, meta schlopping, like you mentioned, is such a, that was literally what you said. It sounds like as if you were at a bar mitzvah, being like, "Hey, who wants to do drafting practice?"
You got to put the emphasis on it because it's no longer the same. It used to be like, "Oh, it's a meta shift. Oh, it's a meta swap," but it's meta swapping because obviously there's something that's a little bit more important to come out here. Is we're going to get a chance to see everything that's going to go on inside of the draft. But the most important thing is perhaps the jungle position, which has seen so much turmoil over the last like 2 patches. Everything had gotten changed for a couple of seasons when it came to mechanics. A couple of different junglers poked their head in. All of a sudden they're like, Diana's a jungler, Morgana's a jungler, Darius is a jungler sometimes. Like all these champions. Hecarim's no longer a jungler. He's not allowed to play there anymore. And we just like we get this huge variety of champions now all of a sudden have been thrust upon all of our junglers here.
But did you see what was going on today? And so what they were doing in terms of like just about jungle changes that are possibly might be implemented by Mr. Marchietta himself, saying how, yeah, everybody's gonna be a jungler now. We want to make the jungle role more like family friendly. What?
Bring back what was the item called? Do you remember the green jungle item?
Deathfire Grasp.
No, not Deathfire Grab. No, the green jungle item, not the enchantment on it. I don't remember what it was called off the top of my head. It was Trailblazer. Ranger's Trailblazer was insane to be able to keep junglers within the jungle. You could literally run it on any champion and they would go completely dummy in the jungle. You could run it on Braum and it was absolutely insane. As we're in the draft right now, let's catch up with everything that came through. I'll let you go through that because you're the talking man. I'm the brains here.
Sure. You know what? As you see, just right across the board, the first couple of bands that have already came on through, right? We see the Echo going out, the Tristana as well has been taken off the board, and first pick, Steve, I could come on in as all the bear picker, being number 1, for Bay-State, right? So I don't mind the pick necessarily. Like it's actually like a pretty decent flex pick, considering it could probably go top or jungle. And if you want to get freaking geeky with it, it could go support, which I've done before, like EP Volleyball support. Count me on it. It's actually not too bad. Match by the other end, Jinx Seraphine by AoE Randoms. These guys love this Seraphine, bro.
That they do. It's a champion that was so highly prioritized by teams, and then it got nerfed, and everyone's like, all right, no worrying about it. But now you get to see the people who actually practiced it and actually wanted it in competitive, the ones you were banning it against, and that's AoE Randoms, of course, who can flex it between Focus and Competition 9. You do see Bay-State, they were a bit terrified because they banned out 2 melee champion divers as well as the Tristana out of the mid lane pool to make sure if Serenok goes to something standard like these control mages, these artillery mages, there's no dive potential up against him. But on the other side, wanting to make sure that there is no potential for Rumble to flex as well alongside the likes of the Volibear. Like you said, Volley top jungle flex. You talk about triple lane flexing now for the Rumble, where you can go top, mid, or jungle with how strong he is, especially with the auto attack increase that he's been able to snag.
Right now, those CPs coming in, like we mentioned, AoE Randoms, though, we did manage to point out that they did also take off the Zoe and the Rumble, which we mentioned before, that they do oh so love. On the other end, matched by the Kai'Sa Braum on the other side. So I like this pick actually a lot from Bay-State too. They're preemptively deciding, okay, maybe we don't want to get all in by AoE right away, so what's protection? Want to make sure that a Kai'Sa stays alive. You know, like it's like ADCs are really good at the game, especially when they can scale up ahead and not die 4 times in a lane, which that's at least it.
Yeah. Not only can it jungle, it's not great at jungling, don't get me wrong, but we had the desk mentioned, Deos mentioned, that it has been going more into the solo lanes recently. It also was getting specifically picked into Volibear for the fact that if Volibear jumps in, gets this massive buff of health, you kick him right back out, and all of a sudden that's just more damage tacked onto your kick into the enemy team, which is the fantastic Uno no You card that's going to be coming out to hit Bay-State cards now. The question is, can Chim run it? Are they willing to go something that crazy? Because it is still volatile, still hasn't settled into a perfect place in the meta quite yet. I'm curious if Jim is willing to snag that, or if they're just gonna chicken out, throw it into Jossie's hands. It still does flex. You can put it jungle if that Volibear is going into the jungle position. It's perfectly fine. That's where people were picking it anyway, and I think that's what they're gonna end up waiting on. Is now you see Seraphine not going to support as expected because of the changes that were made a little while ago. Instead, going to be jumping into either ADC or that mid position that we know her for.
Right, otherwise bands do come out through, like you mentioned, they did like you said, a lot of mid lane focus bans right away, just making sure to limit what Serenok and both competition can play, especially Serenok's signature Xerath taken off too, which understandably I wouldn't want to play against her either. Instead, we see him pick up the TF instead. I like this pick a lot too, because it does give Bay-State a fair amount of roaming capability as well on their end, and it gives and allows for them to global pressure. So we're seeing the funneling already coming in, right? We knew who the carriers are going to be, we knew who they're playing for, the nice little front to back, and the ability to create picks across the map. Fresh picked up on the other end, so which signals to me that Seraphine is going mid.
Now we have to wonder whether or not we're going to have the jungle Volibear to apply to lanes. That's exactly what we're going to get, as they're going to throw the Jace into this composition. As Johnny wants that range advantage into anything. It's blinded here into anything, unless you're willing to play Lee Sin into it now. Are you going to say what I think you're going to say? All right. Hold on. I'm going to call on someone in the class. Ravish.
Sir, you know who they should play into Jace?
Yorick.
Yeah, they should play Yorick into it. He's so good right now, and he's a fantastic matchup at Thank you. No.
That's an F for you, Ravish, and that's an A+ for Chim, who's going to be giving us up. I think it's our first Teemo game of the split.
No way, bro. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Is one more time, producer song. What did you say to me? Okay, I believe they said that there might be a little bit of a misdraft because Jace is indeed banned. So that was likely the reason for the Teemo pick that they had. And yeah, like we mentioned before, Jace is still definitely banned because of the bug that he has in his Q, which can explode you.
Yeah, so we were actually, the reason it got banned is I was playing in a game with Mark Yetter alongside Ravish, and Ravish was the opposing top laner, I was Jace, and I got 3,700 kills before 20 minutes, and Mark Yetter was like, there's no way this champion's not busted. And so he had to release the fact that there is a bug problem with the champion that caused that big of a gap, which does happen in top lane, obviously. But yeah, Jace having been taken out, that means that obviously that pick was not going to come through from the side of Bay State, and so the Teemo, we got our hopes up. We were thinking Yorick. Instead, we got Teemo, and it took us up here. And now we're going right back down here because there's no Jace, which means that there's no Teemo, which means this draft starts over from what is effectively the TF pick eventually.
Yeah, what I'm seeing and hearing right now too is that they're just replacing the Jace pick with the Renekton, and now AOE are essentially just looking to be able to what they want to pick into it, and they have picked the Ornn. So not nearly as fun, not as exciting. I would have actually kind of preferred the Gragas pick here, Dean, because like Gragas 1 is a band, a really good, actually quite a solid pick going into the Renekton as well. Does pretty well into does actually quite well in lane, especially compared to the early game beast that is Renekton. And if given just a little bit of support, can shut him down. And a Renekton was behind. It's a Renekton that is reclined. It's a bad rhyme, but sure, we'll take it.
Now, consider this. Gragas was nerfed, so you're bad. Alternatively, if we look at AoE Random's composition and you think about what is the effective, like, I'm just going to come out and say it. This is a line composition. Look at what they're fighting with. Lee Sin kicks in a line. You've got Ornn Ultimate in a line. You got Seraphine ult in a line. You've got Jinx Rocket in a line. They're just straight line fighters. They're just going to be trying to fight down these big lanes, these rivers. They don't want to fight in multiple angles and things. They're just fighting in one direction, that way, which I gotta be honest, that's playing directly into Braum. He now has a shield for two amazing ultimates to come out in both the Ornn ultimate and the Seraphine ultimate. If used properly, then that means that one of them is going to get through because the Braum shield has to be used on the other. But if used improperly, all of a sudden, Braum is the most valuable champion in the entire universe, and two champions get their ultimates completely shut down in what could be a game-changing team fight. So a lot of pressure here for Swordblue to throw that shield up at the right time. And this is a player, ever since last split, I've been really high on. I thought he looked like the better support. I'm glad he was able to claim control of that support position here for the side of Bay State. Has been doing pretty well. Hasn't quite developed, I think, as far as he can, but definitely getting there. And this Braum pick is one of the first times I think we've ever said that a Braum's got skill expression because of his ability to block multiple teamfight ultimates.
It becomes really easy to pop off as a Braum when literally all you have to do is just pull up your E in the right direction, and suddenly you become a god and the savior of many. Though you see how Moses parted the Red Sea to like allows people through. Braum's gonna stop them. Braum's actually gonna add more water to the Red Sea to make sure nothing gets through. He's gonna flood the entire area, but it makes sense. But look on the other side for the team fight of AoE randoms. Right? We're talking about the shit, right? Yes, ultimately and initially it does. And now that we know the top is gonna be Renekton Ornn, they've immediately lost all type priority. Like Ornn, honestly, that's gone. Like Ornn's gonna be pushed to almost the entire time. I played that matchup far too often to know that Lee Sin is never gonna be there. Especially unless it's before level 5, then maybe we might see him. But after that, it's not happening. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, Brusky. Yo, Ornn, fam, on your own, chill on your island, save your TP, farm as much as you can.
The top lane matchup's a bit miserable. In fact, to be quite honest, what you got, like Jinx and Thresh are pretty safe, but you've got a good amount of CC and enough damage out of Kai'Sa to start with on bottom lane, and a lot of attacking pressure into side lanes as well, with Volibear going into one of the side lanes as well, where you can either pair for a tower dive on the top side or go bottom side with the same thing. And with TF ultimate coming out of Serenok, perhaps the most experienced and even just to be blanket about it, perhaps the best player here on Bay States College, at minimum the most experienced player on Bay States College, can move around the map with Skittles to try to attack these side lanes, which is an interesting dynamic because all of a sudden what you got is like, if Seraphine's going to sit there and not do anything and you can make plays happen, this team fight for AoE random starts to crumble in a different direction, which is that all of a sudden your side lanes are now failing you and there's not much to be done, and that allows Bay State not to get engaged on by this massive AoE ultimate. If you got priority out of mid lane, you can move into river for neutral objectives and start to give yourselves more win conditions. So I feel like it's a much more complex and a much more diverse composition from Bay State. AoE randoms does something well, and it does it really, really well. Now it's just about how do they accomplish that goal of attempting to get that 5-on-5 team fights they so desperately seek.
So here's what they do, and here's what I understand of what AoE are going to do across the map. If I may think about my macro sense, just for a couple of seconds. Will you allow me to do that, Dean? Will you allow me to think macroly?
Sure.
Sure.
ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I imagine. Look,
Sure. Okay.
considering you're going to the bot lane against a Kai'Sa and Braum 2 with Jinx Thresh. Look, Jinx Thresh, though, considering going up against Kai'Sa, should have pretty decently even lane state. They should be pushed in, considering Jinx early mana cost you. You just try to clear out as many waves as you can, use your rockets, and maybe get a little bit of a poke down. The Thresh I find presents a much more interesting narrative is if you can get early hooks, maybe go for a good level 3 trade, force the Kai'Sa out of lane. Because Braum early on, though, by the way, is decently squishy. He doesn't do super amazing. Like, unless you just W onto him. I've experienced this myself because after taking a couple of Jinx EQs, suddenly all my health goes away. So I'm gonna think he's squishy. What's up?
Okay, so I could shave off of your brain right now because you haven't said anything about macro. You've talked exclusively about the micro bot lane.
Hold on, here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Look, what comes in after that is what the Lee Sin does, right? Look, I imagine Lee Sin, being the jungler that he is, makes the play not level 1, level 2, but level 3. He does almost a full clear, comes back, resets, and he goes mid lane. Trust me,
Sure.
He goes mid lane too, takes the flash out from TF to make sure that Seraphine can main priority, and TF then cannot roam, so he has to use ultimate or his TP there at the end. Boss about level 6. That means that Seraphine then gets the early push too, reaches back, and then they go bot side, where the wave is being pushed in, which is why it was important for me to explain that, because likely both Kai'Sa and Braum are decently low, so you will get either not one, if not 2 people then, and then from there, we randoms snowball the game.
Okay, let me try the exact same process, but in a lot less time. Double range bot lane means you poke bot lane a lot harder. If you put pressure on TF, that means he has to back off the wave, no longer has priority over Seraphine, and now all of a sudden Seraphine gets first step, you have control of the river.
Well, if you're gonna do it like that, that's no fun.
Hold on, stay still. Hold on. I'm just gonna your brain is nice and reflective right now. I just gotta get some
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, bro. You know what? I have to make sure to set my camera right in face to be able to look at you in the eyes and tell you that I'm not going to enjoy this. You're a bad person, Dean. Thank you.
You sound like my dad. I'm sorry, folks. That was a joke. Just had to bust him out laughing right there. Either way, though, this is going to be an exciting little series because there's going to be a ton of fighting to start off the game. That's what happens when you have a Renekton and the likes of a Volibear and all these other champions that are going to interact really early. Lee Sin is something that was really popular for fighting early before. I don't think he's been in that role for a good amount of time, but with the right amount of early pressure, Jossie obviously can do some crazy things. And to come back to that point we were talking about, we were memeing about it a little bit, talking about macro, talking about breaking out mid lane. Jossie has a lot of the early counterplay to what this ganking style is from the side, on the side of course, base state. So I think that is what unlocks the rest of your map. If this Lee Sin starts getting some things done early on, all of a sudden this 5-on-5 composition comes together very, very easily. And I'm not saying it's all on Jossie to do that, but obviously the Lee Sin I think is the one kind of it's the X factor that this game has from the side of just randoms, or I guess AoE randoms. Now, my apologies.
Yes, sir. So like we were saying before, so definitely be really looking at the early jungle game pathing to be able to see how Jossie is able to affect the map across the board, right? We wanted to be a lot more proactive. We wanted to get ahead because this isn't Wild Rift, unfortunately. Once the Lee Sin gets ahead, he can eventually fall behind. He does become a little bit more relevant, and I find it'll depend a bit more on his build. I want to see the lethality of Lee Sin. I want him to kick somebody and absolutely explode their health bars. That just gone. Dunzo. See you later. Sayonara. Johnny. There you go. That's 4 languages for you.
Now, alternatively, Moonstone, you said. I can't help but
not your dirty mouth.
I can't help but mention it every time. It just gets funnier and funnier the further away we get from Moonstaff meta. Like any champion that has ever even possibly thought about building it, he's got a shield. He can build it. Of course he
can. It makes perfect sense. Look, man, that's no, man, stop it. But here, Imperial Mandate, Lee Sin, is where I think it's a bit more interesting.
Emax. Imperial Mandate. You might be cooking with hot metal right there, my friend. That's a good idea.
I'm smelting the core of something while making popcorn. Exactly. Yeah.
It's more of like if you think of like if you cook something on like really really hot metal, then it'll like burn the outside, but the inside's still raw. So like your idea is like bad, but then also bad on the inside. It's like double.
Wait. Oh, it's like everything you say. Got it. Okay,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Wait.
Ravish is a good caster. What can you do about it? What can you do about it?
I'm gonna take it for what it is, face value. Like everything you say, shallow. Haha.
I'm telling you, Joe.
That's perfectly fine. As we've been told, though, we're just gonna go and cut to a break really, really quick. When we come back, we'll have game number 1 for y'all between AOE and Bay State. Don't go nowhere. And welcome back, everybody, to UPL. I'm Ravish Gravish, joined by Dean, Rebel Fox, Merrick. Oh God, why am I here? And we are watching AOE Randoms versus Bay State College. Appreciate the wait. Sorry about all that, but word out of gate number one. Dean, I don't care how you are, just talk.
That's fair. Yeah, they decided to put the most ravishing man on the internet in this broadcast, and unfortunately, you're also here, Ravish. I apologize that I have to make you look so bad. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything. This is just genetics gap. There's nothing much to talk about. But we are, unfortunately, now into game number one here between the side of Bay State and the side of AOE Randoms, who, again, in terms of importance, this is pretty important for Bay State. It's not really that important for AOE Randoms because they're pretty well set here for playoffs and even to take the number one spot here within the division. So this is more so them just testing some stuff out, maybe having some fun, that kind of thing, and just wanted to close this out with a quick applause.
I imagine so. Like you mentioned, we've been talking about it all day here, right? The AOE Randoms right now, 5-4-0. Well, undefeated, essentially, in their group, right? Not dropped a single gosh darn game. They're just so good, especially when they play together too, like just consistently across the board. How well they're here. That's what I'm trying to say here. They play well together because they've been playing together for so long, and they have a lot of just really good synergy, especially between Chin, Short Hop, and Pockets. Now, talking to all three of these dudes, considering there's not much of a coaching structure there, it's just them doing all of it. They come together, they practice, they scrim, and they go through draft as one. Which I remember, Dean, we and I have that conversation before about player-run drafts and how you say whoever does them actually needs to be smited by Zeus, but they're doing okay.
Yeah, they seem to be doing all right for themselves. Again, there's some picks here. Again, Ornn isn't the most standard, but Shem has been known for playing it in previous games, and in fact took Grasp in this one, so feels comfortable enough in the Renekton matchup to want to go for a more aggressive laning phase. The curious one more so, I think, is the Lee Sin. We'll see what Jossie can do, but again, they're far more open to try some of this experimentation, some of the new picks, things of that sort, to see what you're going for, and they get a chance to test this Lee Sin into Volibear matchup, which again is one that's been fantastic. So I love that AOE Randoms, it's not necessarily out of their comfort zone, but they're at least trying some new stuff potentially for the upcoming playoffs and patches that are going to be here inside of the UPL for days to come as well. So I'm excited for that.
Exactly, sir. Like you mentioned. Now, remember here, friends, we just said before, we'll say it again, that for Bay State, this is a very, very important game. They'd be able to take this handily 2-0, or their playoffs are looking more and more grim as right now is because let's go back a little bit, Dean, that we were mentioning about the macro plays they could potentially see. We were talking about that we want to watch Jazzy, we want to watch, Godwolfer, seeing where they go, especially within the early game pathing, what they decide to do. So far, it seems like, both jungle started on opposite sides of the map, so we're already seeing that bot side before, but I wanted to see, but I personally had a preference towards the mid lane pressure being applied, especially given competition that laid ahead, just so my prediction could come out right, and so I can spite you even more.
Yeah, importantly, if you notice where they started at, of course, Jossie started on top side, skipped Raptors instead of Krugs. Typically, you skip Krugs instead of Raptors. Perhaps something changed with the new addition of like the jungle camps and some of the experience changes that had come through before. But more importantly, I think it's just that Jossie can then cover for his bot side when he walks down there. So it's either, Goldwolfer has to walk into bottom river and contest up against Jossie, who would have a pushing bot lane at that point, or you're going to end up in a position where your bot lane can freely shove, which is exactly what happened. And if you see SDB, my apologies, on the bottom side on this guy's is currently down about half CS to Short Hop just off of them slamming wave after wave after wave into this fight. This is the mid play that you were looking for, though, that we mentioned.
And immediately to get it, though, they put the lightning strike all the way at the back to get competition down quite low. That's still available for him, too, and it's going to be A-okay to get the double root. Jazzy is there, looking for a possible Q. The wave is pushing into their favor, but they both get out A-okay.
2. Can't actually find anything, unfortunately. Goldwolfer also skipped out on an additional camp or so, maybe 2 camps that had come through, that would have caused some strife here, at least in terms of the Lee Sin, but instead the Lee Sin gets to walk forward with a farm advantage, as well as being able to cancel out this mid lane gank for nothing burnt. Competition had already burnt the cleanse earlier on in the game, and so no flash even burnt within that, and Seraphim's got more than enough self-sustain to actually make things happen, so... really importantly, actually, topside, we're getting some good action. Jossie's maybe looking for Consuelo.
Wave's not in his favor, though. He can't really go for this dive along with Goldwolf is already there. Also, with the kicking back level 4 to flash out, and honestly, I'll trade that trade any day of the week. But now they want Chim, shield. Jossie goes out there. If that was Moonstone, he would be healed for half of his health. But fortunately not.
Not in the slightest. But one thing to do. Oh, actually, Serenok's up here on the top side.
Yeah, yellow cards, and he just barely misses the cards at the back.
Problematic.
Draw not his favor. The Godwolf still wants to go for his flash in. E down shield. First blood. Going over to base stage where I was already there to slice and dice comes out, but they get a trade going over to Jossie. Competition roamed up to get the double stun by like the third of the heal is there on top of the minions, and competition cannot get any more.
Yeah, as you see here immediately, because competition had to take it back, you have priority on the way for Serenok, who makes his way topside even without TP, just off of the back of a normal roam, which is to punish the fact that Chim and Jossie were stuck up there after they had to run away. It did burn the flash of the Renekton and the Volibear for future plays, so that's something that could come into favor. But at minimum, you do get kills here in the earlier game for both of your topside champions that do need it desperately to try to get some advantage in the earlier stages of the game. The trade-off is, of course, that you've given one back to Lee Sin. You can take that or leave that as the pressure around the map to be equalized. The biggest part of all of this, however, in the back of my mind right now, Ornn's still relevant in this game, even after a death, even against a kill. This bot lane is what I'm keeping my eyes on right now.
Oh yeah, Pockets is dead. There's just no way he gets out of this. Yep, that's pretty easy. And they even bumped the flash out of short hop to the... I don't think he needed a flash stick, considering that the yellow card wasn't actually up yet. They wouldn't have been able to get him. He gets out fine, but you know what? I guess rather be safe than sorry. You don't want to have double the fever on you, but this gives them at least priority over the dragon.
Yeah, a little bit antsy right there. Again, they've got like a 20 CS lead. They don't really need to be shoving super duper hard right there, and Jossie got kind of caught off at the moment, so that pressure on bot side does unlock this dragon. So it's Bay State who's striking early and often, already with Serenok's Twisted Fate alongside the likes of Goldwolfer's Volibear. Jossie stepped in maybe to look for some pressure, but not going to find anything. Again, the side of randoms, they really aren't that concerned with getting a massive advantage. It's more so making sure they can go for these plays. But so far, Bay State has been able to get themselves a good start. They've been able to play the way that their composition was kind of designed to play for, which is the more important thing, I think, in the end.
Definitely so. They put out the Ornhorn stun up. Can't get the knockup too. This could be an easy solo kill as well. Broken Kurdo, he's looking for the Dominus is popped. The heal is there. He can get slice and dice. He was need a little bit more agency, and there it is. The charge comes out in response, and he's fine. But that trades.
Yeah, it's perhaps the most interesting part of that right there was actually the prediction call by Chim. It wasn't like a great play or anything on his part, because obviously he lost the majority of his health bar. But if he presses W and the stun comes out, he cancels it. But if he presses E and the stun comes out, I think Consuelo ends up pulling that kill away. And he made the prediction, I'm going to go for the E instead of the W. Did not end up getting stunned. And then there's no kill to come through from Renekton. The hover was also here. Seraphim was able to make a way up. Now Jossie's in a little bit of a tough position. No W to get over this wall. Might just have to flash.
Yep, and he does so too. He actually W's to the... He W to the Rift Herald instead, but he could... Man, if you Q... Okay. If you Q to Scuttle and then W over the wall, you get out and you save your flash. Why? Oh, that's fine, I guess. There's gonna... They shot Rift at the back. They also take away Jossie's blue. There's losing priority all over the map. Look, Godwolf is doing such a good job of matching Jossie here, Gene. But, oh, nice kickback to the get down potato, and he'll become fries.
Extremely nice play right there from Jossie. I love the call as well with the call and fries, because that was hysterical. I can't, I'm dying. Anyway, you're not funny, by the way. But the more important thing, the play was really heavily in favor of Bay State, and then Admiral Potato, instead of backing off completely or just immediately walking through safe parts of the jungle down towards bot side, instead decides to cut, and Jossie finds a really nice cutoff pattern where he's in that brush that's completely unwarded, finds a nice hop to make sure to get that pick into position, use the blast cone even to make sure there was no potential escape route for the Braum either, and that unlocks topside here for Jossie to be able to pull that one away. The problem is Short Hop's been on his own, but there's no punishment to come from just a solo Kai'Sa, as the Volibear is also here, but can't get here fast enough to punish the ADC of the opposing team. Does lose a little bit of that CS lead, will probably give a plate or two over to the side of the Kai'Sa, but you're perfectly comfortable as long as you're able to match that with the Rift Herald that comes out from Jossie.
That's what we see, but Short Up might be a little bit of trouble too. So the Braum stack is on him. They're still going for Admiral Potato. He puts a shield up as well, but this is a 2v3. They might not want this fight. Competition's there, and Pockets, suddenly turns in their favor as Bay State disengaged and at least giving Jazzy back his own blue.
That they do. As well as the Rift Herald that's still going to be in their pocket. So it was just the one turret plate that went down for the Kai'Sa, and the Jinx is still going to maintain that 10 CS lead. So the early game being pretty comfortable here from the side of it, randoms, where again it's Jossie who's trying to make plays around the map for the most part. That's pretty much the only place we're seeing things come through. Jim has been in these duels consistently against this Renekton, not bending though because of all this health and the Bramble Vest reducing that healing. It's nice. It feels like the Stonewall's kind of working here for randoms. I do want to see a little bit more play. Serenok has the ultimate back. TP is not available because he has, of course, the unsealed spellbook goes for the ignite. You got to find that aggression somewhere on the map. Doesn't matter if you're going top, going bottom lane. You got to find that somewhere because that tempo increase is what Bay State needs to get out of this early game with a significant enough advantage to not worry about that 5-on-5. And right now, they're not really creeping towards that the way I would want them to.
He has Destiny up, and considering how pushed up both Pockets and Short Up are, they could possibly go for a 3v3 play. He's actually out of vision. They don't see him. But the question is, though, Potato and Wolf genuinely have no reason to step up like this, but possibly they land the spike in. No hook is there either. Jossie's kind of just chilling and biding his time right now. But yeah, it's some Rift Herald, and I guess I'll take that.
The big thing, it looked like two things. If the overstep comes through from the bot lane of Bay State, you obviously make that play happen. The bigger thing, though, look at competition. He was able to make a move out of mid lane, might sacrifice a few minions here, but it means that there's no play to come through from Serenok. Because if he presses that vision, you turn that into a 3v3. It turns into a 4v3 really, really quickly. And then look on the other side of the map. You know that Shim was paying respect, and they're pushing him off to try to get some turrets denied. But this is really severely hampering the ability of the Kai'Sa and the Braum to do anything, as they're going to lose 2 towers in exchange for just this one. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you're getting some gold into Renekton, not so much in a Volibear. This is even more of a problem now.
Immediately still just stepping a bit too far. Why they stayed there for so long? Potato exhausted down, ignited up, and that's a free kill over the Short Hop. And now they're looking on to SDV. They look at the back. That's obviously called too. Short Hop did a good job of staving them off. Short Hop has to run away as well. The killer stick comes in. ADC, Short Hop dies. And that's looking good for one though, but competition will be warmed up as well. As the TP from Chim, they get up the turret. He misses the orbital. No, that's the wrong direction, my brother, but at least they get the kill.
It is what it is. They have complete vision right now of SDV, so he's still in hot water for the moment. Competition, he flashed for him.
Oh, but look at the back though as well. Volibear's coming as well. They forced the flash out of him. Look at it. Here comes Thunder Charge to get that competition. Barely missing the rocket by a hair. It was 1 for 1. It is pandemonium here, Dean, as the kills have not stopped. Jazzy has made it back to lane. We missed the Q, unfortunately, on SDV as they look towards Drag on the side of Bay State.
And that Dragon is a big one, as it's going to be the second one of the game here from the side of Bay State, which is one of those win conditions we focused on. It's going to be only number 2. It's not going to be number 3 or put them into a really terrible situation, which is pretty early in the game to do so, but even still. Bay State, they are getting that at least. Right now, Kai'Sa being fed and having these Dragon stacking gives you potential to come back in this game, because right now, randoms, again, making that play on bottom side, getting that amount of gold into Jinx early on and a couple of kills into competition bodes really well for that 5-on-5 play, but at minimum, Bay State have given themselves counterplay with the likes of pickoffs that can come through from like Serenok and Kai'Sa and things of that sort. That play, it was kind of a mess. I was really worried Bay State was going to end up just completely losing across the map. Those couple of kills and that Dragon take were humongous and kept them alive.
Right now, though, it has to be up to the side of AoE to find some more balance to the game, like you were mentioning. Although Bay State, they've been kind of pulling ahead sometimes when the kills too. Although there's 2 in their favor, the goal necessarily as well has pulled up ahead with 2K on their end. So the small little picks, one after another, have been snowballing. I feel like you mentioned the True Dragons, and they're taken as well, which is very, very big personally, especially early mountain dragons. I've learned are so impactful. If you're also looking at the composition Bay State as well, that's going to bode extremely well. Not only are the Kai'Sa on and also her turret taking ability, but give more tank such as the Volibear and the Renekton as well. There's competition just getting bullied a little bit too, but at least the jungle's there to support him. This is a 3v2. They could possibly make a play, but they have to be able to get just one decent engage possibly at the end. Oh, look at the back. The cleanse immediately down. And he said, wait, he gets out alive? No, he was over the wall. He's actually all okay, but he knocks it back in. Jazzy re-engages as the wolf is so extremely low. They're looking for the possible kill, but they nearly miss him.
That they did. That was a really tough situation. I think what happened was Shorthop was waiting a little bit of an engagement here on the side between Chim and Quickshadow, but it's not going to find too much. As Shorthop was in a really tough position, waiting for the Lantern from Pocus. I don't know that it was up, but the cleanse got used early also, which is what ended up burning both of Shorthop's sums. The better part of that was the burst did come down onto Goldwolfer, and so that Volibear had to completely leave the fight, and the ultimate was only like 5 seconds away from up. And if they had really hard committed, I think they could have pulled that one out, but instead Bay State pulls off a little bit, not wanting to overpress. They got the sums out of the Jink. That's the important part for these team fights around this 3rd and 4th Dragon, more than anything else, as continuously, again and again, we're seeing Bay State is trying to make moves. Randoms aren't giving up too much. It's close enough right now for the fact that I feel like neither team is really feeling the pressure from this earlier phase. What happened with Pocus and Potato?
Okay. All right. It's supporter combat, at least by the end of it, but considering that goes over the side of Pockets, though, I mean, I'm okay with it personally. Potato doesn't have his flash up. He does still have exhaust time, so I'm assuming he gave him what we refer to in Smash as a homie stock.
I am familiar with homie stock, but I wasn't expecting that present. I only expect that when Will's around, so that's perhaps the main reason. I'm not used to that verbiage when anybody else is here, but this is okay. I'm waiting for this to unfold.
Okay, it was back and forth. They decided to come leash it for them.
Yeah, it took like 90% of it, and then we're just like, nah. Like, Jossie, you've got smite, my guy. You're least in. Your Q does percentage health missing damage. Just hit the damn Rift Herald.
Yeah, bro, I'm crying because I'm thinking, like, you know, it's like when you take a girl out to a restaurant and then after arguing for hours of where you want to go, you drive up to the place. So like, hey, you want to eat here? She's like, nah. Then why did we come here?
Dude, but listen, chat. All right, this man's out here bragging about taking girls to restaurants. Okay, like, all right, big guy, cool.
Aren't you the one with the girlfriend, bro? I don't want to hear that. All right.
Oh, pain. This is a sad boy hour stream. When do we get the sad boy hours music out here?
I'm sad all day, bro. That's so. I don't know about you, fam. I've got like bad jazz running in the background, you know, because like, and you know it's bad because they're freestyling it.
I love the callback meme, but nobody gets that right now. I'm sorry. Shorthop might be in some bad jazz music right now. Oh no!
Oh no! All over the back, the Stormbringer. They're actually barely getting away, but look at the kick though. It was clean. The save his ADC, nice cleanse as well, but she stays alive, and the disengage from AoE, keeping Shorthop. The layering of what they did there, Dean, was so well done.
It was really incredible. The fact that the Lantern was waited so long to take just to make sure that he could snag it, the ultimate that came out from Goldwolfer to try to put pressure onto him as soon as he landed, and then immediately the kick to come out from Jossie. Like you said, that combination of abilities was honestly gorgeous from both sides. I got to give both sides a lot of commendation for that one, except for Shorthop, who found himself in that situation in the first place. Really, really solid stuff from both sides. Again, for some reason, I'm still giving favor over to the side of Randoms only because their team fight is so immaculate come late game. But this is really close. This Dragon fight could mean a lot, as it could be the swinging point for Randoms, or it could be sole point to force some of these early game fights that you're looking for on the side of Bay State.
Both Concordo here as well. He has a dominance, which has not been popped yet, but the Horn could be the big team fight swing between both of these teams. But now all that matters is just the engage between the two of them. They're doing what I like to call the Valle de las Muertas, also known as the Dance of Death. Because that team fight has to come as Drang takes down his sword. Jazzy takes it. Sorry, but now pops the dominance too. He gets stunned up with the middle of 3. Takes a lot of damage. Just about to 4th of his health too. But Apple Potato finds a knockup onto 2 nonetheless as well. But Chim still has all the ultimate for him too. But is going to use it. Going to go in. There's knockup onto 4 at the back though. SPV did so much damage, and Shorthop is going off. The Rockets go absolutely brazy in this game. The Core tries to save his ADC, but Chim's stuck on a tower. He has to die, but he gives his life for a greater cause.
But he does. Really solid stuff. The fighting is coming through from the side of Randoms right there as the damage from Jinx is starting to ramp up. They not only grab the dragon and try to make out like bandits, but eventually just overextension from Bay State costs them a fair amount. So now Randoms, they've closed this gold gap to only 1,000 apiece. The Jinx has pulled quite a bit of that into her own pockets, and then they're sieging down even into mid tower. Maybe the play is their teleport comes really far up. I don't know if that's going to be a deep flank or what the position is, because it looks like it's just a wave that's trying to be taken by Serenok. But man, what a shift from, like I said, Randoms needed to try to force something here, or needed to try to slow down this dragon stacking. And what would you know? Some heroics from Jossie, and the fight afterwards was great for this team.
The patience from Chim as well to save the Ornhorn till all the way at the end of the team fight until waiting for Concorder to go in and just wait for him, wait for the engage, because he knew that would be the perfect disengage to get everybody off of his team, at least give Short Hop the peel that he needs to, and then from there, the fight was completely in their direction, like you mentioned there, Dean. So, AoE Randoms right now, the 5v5 that you wanted to see, but competition at least has jungler with him, as Serenok might look for a little bit of cheeky damage. Like in the back, Alberto is roaming up as well, but instead uses the Destiny to go back.
Interesting. So like the mind games were there. I actually have to give a little bit of commendation to Serenok. If he's that far up and doesn't press his ultimate key to immediately get away, the possibility of CC from the combination of like Jossie E with like competition's E, or even just a kick from Jossie, might be enough to disrupt him. And so he pops that immediately to make sure there's not only threat on the competition, but that Jossie can't just try to jump in on him as fast as possible and kick him before the ultimate comes through, and uses it for protection. I don't think it's a perfect usage, but at least he was thinking, I think, ahead of where he was on the map, where it's like, he could keep walking directly at Seraphine with nothing else, but instead decides to use it defensively. Doesn't have it this time, but this time not going to be as worried because the Everfrost was enough to slow down competition. Now can Jossie find the angle on him?
Oh, Serenok in the back really misses the Q, though. I will long and wait for the day that Jossie is able to land one of these Qs with trying to engage. Just a little bit of flame, but otherwise, in every other department, he's doing fantastic. But once what he does, it'll be cool.
Yeah, junglers when they're trying to hit skill shots, am I right? Yeah, that's right. We can make fun of beatdown.
That's why he plays Nunu, bro. It's so, if you miss a snowball as a Nunu, it's just, it's actually chalked, bro. What are you asking?
All right. Ooh.
Look at the back though. Chim might be going in. Bailey, we see at the back. Wolfer also has to has to engage out. He flashes on the left, and the Hulk just misses off the Serenok. Just a lot of skill shots missed here.
Yeah, now a 19,000 gold lead sitting in the pockets of Randoms. It happens. It's the technical glitch. We apologize. There's not much that can be done. It's forcing here from the side of Randoms, as there's not really a lot that can be done because Gold Wolfer's flash is down instead. They're just going to let Short Hop come up and bully these members of the team off. Look at that. Health bar is getting completely shredded by Jinx Rockets, and nothing to be done. You see the Renekton's on the bottom side, no TP to respond, so they just pull down mid tower. Every bit of aggression that's out here from Bay State continues to get canceled as this team fight continues to get just better and better from the side of AoE Randoms. This is incredible to watch as this team slowly just developing into this late game monstrosity that I don't know that Bay State's going to be able to watch. They have to pull this, probably just this next dragon to come out. Otherwise, there's some real problems that could arise from the side of Bay State.
Somebody tell the principal, who will ultimately do nothing, being that Short Hop is being bullied and bullying people, but so was STV on the other end. They catch competition out, but this time they make sure to confirm the kill, all alone with no jungler to hold. A good pick as they look towards Baron.
Ooh. That it is, because competition's down, the Encore is down, all the healing's down, double summoners are still up for competition as well, as the TP's got to come in from Chim if they want to force anything here, which will leave them a little bit exposed on the cross side of the map. The Renekton's not here yet, but they back off really quickly from this, not willing to go for it, and even Jossie just pulling that one. Now Pocus in some trouble, maybe.
To get it caught up, to take a lot of damage all the way back, but like you see, Wolfer goes in to get the knockup all the way to onto Concerto. He can't even get into the fight, but looking at it, it's a fight on 4 different fronts, because like there's 2 happening up by the Raptors, there's 2 happening up, down, mid, all the way at the end. Somehow they're able to actually match the cast on Serenok, but the Rockets come in and Short Hop is back to his bullying ways. He clearly has a bad life at home, but he's gonna take it out of every student schoolyard. Nearly. Although they traded 1 for 1 by the end of it. What was that?
you know what it was? It was spectacular positioning from Short Hop and the rest of AoE randoms right there, because no pressure was put onto this Jinx pretty much whatsoever. It was an attempt from Renekton, but once Chim's ultimate came out and everybody else was kind of focused around those two members, just trying to make sure that Serenok wasn't picked off, there's not really much for this team to do. Again, it's spectacular team fighting that can come out from the side of AoE randoms, and even without their Seraphine, they're able to just smash in a four-person fight when Braum isn't able to catch everything and they're not able to put pressure onto this Jinx who can just throw rockets into the other team. Now equalizing the dragon count, this might be the breaking point. This might be where AoE randoms turns this game completely on its head, and Bay State are the ones that start to flounder.
Well, I don't know about that, considering there's a 17,000 goal lead going in the way of AoE randoms.
Yes.
Which, yet again, like we were saying before, just a small little spectator bug. So do not be alarmed, friends. It is just a bug. I believe they're only like just about 2,000 to 3,000 gold ahead, which should be, that's fine. That's very doable, like you're mentioning, right? 2-2 dragons on both sides, and I think this is a long con because they actually wanted both Cloud Drakes. Because if you get both Cloud Drakes, you get all the CDR, you get so much movement speed, and we know how slow Chim is. So we want to make Chim as fast as heck when he's rotating around the map as they're starting up Baron yet again.
But they are trying to force this one out. This time there's no TP from Chim, so he's not going to be able to enter this fight. So they have to work with basically just competition's ultimate. They have to legitimately threaten this. I don't think that there's any way to like look for a fight turn afterwards, because you see the health bars are just getting poked away completely. They need to find a way to try to get into this one. There's Serenok into the middle of the team.
Actually trying to all the way to the back line. He's able. The alligator just pretty much dies almost, but heals up at the end now. A-State in the middle of it too, just getting poked down a little bit, but now AoE as well have to be able to go disengage, look at the back. Jazzy's barely gets out alive. But now, because Short Hop was almost untouched, and now with him dying as well, competition's putting out so much damage and turning the fight here, Dean. How are they doing this? Considering all the way at the end, basically they have to be on the have to run away at this point. But no, still Jazzy goes in, gets up, he's able to catch out one. STV, he's still alive though, but Lando makes to land out one Q, and Jazzy able to pick him off, and Serenok is the last one left alive, and they get him, and that's the ace.
Oh my goodness, such an elongated team fight right there. It ends up favoring the side of AoE randoms. They find a pick on a Jinx immediately, but when they burn all these tools, there's nothing left really to use. They're just kind of floundering around a fight with no way to get onto competition. And then the damage is still there from Jossie, who's built at least a little bit between the Gore Drinker and some of the extra AD. Chim is still doing some pretty decent flat damage as well with what he's got, and that's enough to bring down certain members. Serenok's getting really antsy in these fights, kind of walking up looking for gold cards and kind of getting caught by bits of damage here and there, and that slowly chunks him over the fight. And they have no way to take elongated fights. There's nobody to actually like sustain up. It's a lot of burst fighting to come through. Once the ultimate from Renekton and Volibear are down, pretty much all they've got is Kai'Sa, and it was a really close clutch by SDFB or SPD, but it just wasn't there. Not enough damage got caught by Jossie, and that was without Jinx. If Jinx gets added into that equation, there is no chance that these fights go the way of Bay State here.
Now, considering to Jazzy all the way as well, NFL team fight landed a resonating strike. So finally, what we landed, he got it.
The first Lee Sin to ever land Q. Ladies and gentlemen.
You saw it here first, and now with AoE randoms making another clutch team fight play between the two teams, yet again giving them pressure up against this map. Right now, they can now look towards other major points across the map, which still has to be the Baron for both these teams. But they can probably look to force it, and a lot basically the spot because they just got it ace, so we know that they're basically far ahead. They've hit a lot of fair item break points as Sorta's going in. Dominus is off though, so he could probably slice some dice in as well. Probably try to catch out 5. Fighters at the back to Serenok got the fight. He's looking for possibly 2 and million. No, Iron Potatoes is dead. Look at the back. Still probably going to go into is what Toronto's out. Toronto's not touched as of yet, but the kill's looking over the back. STV really gets on Jinx. That's so huge. Things off the back, but Jossie popping off. He gets the double. Can they get more? Yes, he can. One more legendary strike. Look, that's the Quadra. Looks to a Serenok. Give it to him. You know you want to. Come on, there's one more test we'll be able to do it. He's blast coiling away. He's slowed up. Come on, one more auto. The pentakill.
Oh my, I don't think I've seen a Lee Sin pentakill in like years, man. This champion used to be disgusting and no one's been playing it, but Jossie right there absolutely crushing that fight. It came from like two angles. Bay State's trying so much to make sure that these T5-on-5s can come into their favor, but finding multiple flank angles, trying to get onto short hop. This time they were able to get Renekton into the backline to put some significant damage in, but it just wasn't enough, as eventually, again, there's so much front line, so much CC, and Jossie has become enough of a damage threat to still carry these fights when these massive tanks aren't there really, or they don't have the health bars to still contest. The damage was coming out. It was more than enough from short hop, and everything comes to the side of all our AoE randoms. My apologies. So now, again, their dragon count is we're actually probably just only minute away from something like 3 dragons and a soul point now, and their team fighting is very clearly on point and necessary enough to beat the side of Bay State.
One big thing too as well was that Potato went down so quickly as well in that team fight, but might be looking for one more, possibly Bay State looking at the final stand, considering how far AoE randoms are. But Potato actually gets charmed back in, unfortunately, and the damage from the Yandries along with the Seris puts him down to just about a fourth of his health, almost nonetheless. And that'll mean this is a sole point over the side of AoE randoms as well. They have so much priority on this map right now, Dean.
That they do. Humongous wave though from the side of Bay State, actually crashed in the top right there. That's got to be like at least like a grand of minions, a ton of experience that just got done. I think it was like 2, maybe 2.5 or 3 stacked waves that Conchuerto. Yeah, you see that's just a remnants of the wave, and it's been being battered by that tower for about 20-30 seconds, something like that. So pretty crazy. But this is going to mean the Renekton is nowhere near this team fighting team to actually put some pressure into this side. This is really tough. Serenok's in a bad position now. Prom's going down too. Oh no.
Serenok there's a double kill for short hop too. Now they knock up SDV at the back. They don't get the root on him either, but that'll be enough for him to at least be staved away. They will get the inhibitor, and now as Concerto comes in with wave at the back, he goes out to fire. It's a big Stormbringer, but it doesn't matter. It's just because like I got an umbrella. I'm not scared of no rain, and AoE randoms will take game number 1. Dude.
It just does not matter at all, man. The setup was here from AoE randoms the entire time. You knew what had to happen from Bay State. They tried to make it happen, but just not enough of their plays were able to stick and cause enough damage to this team to prevent their 5-on-5 from scaling. And the craziest part is, it wasn't even on the Jinx, it wasn't the Seraphine that popped off. Most of it was Jossie, who controlled some of the early game, found a lot of the picks, and were able to carry the 5-on fights when the time was necessary. And that was all that was there from this team. It just took one really good 5-on-5 at the very end to close things out, as this team, they're looking good, man. They're still undefeated. They're beating everybody down in just about every way you could possibly conceive.
I had to lean on my mic stand for support because unfortunately Bay State didn't have much of this in this game. I mean, no flame, of course, but like just small little trips here, man. But like just due to the unfortunate happenstance of Potato getting caught out very early on, though, a lot of the people that we were looking at to keep STV alive or just be able to put on a CC, at least on a short hop, and being one of the main forms of an engage, disengage, was not able to be there. Right? Like Glacial Fidget can do so much when used in the right direction. All the linear ability of all these abilities can be stopped. It's a little bit of knock up and a little bit more slows, but unfortunately, by this at the end, that means Bay State, fortunately, will have to look towards at least getting this game if they want to keep the playoffs team alive, and look towards other series to see maybe if they might make it. But AoE random still standing comfortably at the top here, Dean. As we cut it to a short break, or we come back, we'll have more from the desk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the UPL. We're back on the desk for some action here. We got just Travis T. I'm joined here with Beatdown and Dale. What's going on, man?
Serenok, buddy. What's going on over here? I'm lifting the weights in your honor, but we're not performing. We're not taking the dub. Okay, we need to get this show started. Let's go.
You're absolutely right on that. And hey, look, man, I'm gonna... yeah, he yeeted that across. That's what I like to believe. But man, all right. We'll start with you, Deus, here, since you're pumped up. You've been pumping some iron here, and you look like you're ready to get into the nitty gritty here. Walk me through something here, man. We got into this game number 1 here, and things were looking good until they went really south really quickly.
Okay. Basically, right? AoE randoms. They're like, okay, boys, how do we win with the least amount of effort possible? Boom, Ornn. Boom, Seraphine. Boom, Jinx. We're scaling to late game. And then my boys on base there were like, okay, we're not like this. We got that animal mentality. We need to unleash the beast. We're locking in TF. We're locking in Renekton. We're ready to clown on some fools. And then we didn't, but that's okay. We saw some brief flashes of brilliance. That's all that matters. We got some positives to see, right? And then towards the latter half of the game, what was expected happened. They got curbed. Oh my God. We hit 2 items, guys. We've lost our timer. It is what it is.
I mean, that is what it is. And Beatdown, man, following up on that, man, it's been a reoccurring theme every time we've seen randoms, right? They have this early game where it's just results are something that you don't want to, not what is desired, right? And then you turn around and then all of a sudden they get the dub. The net just explodes on the other side. Do you have any explanation for this phenomenon?
Oh, I do. It's a very simple explanation. You see, AoE randoms, they don't need to win the early game because what they do after losing it more often than not is they just mind control the enemy team to take very unfavorable fights. Like you are leading in gold with a comp that gets outscaled eventually. All right, what are we going to do? Are we going to split? No, we're going to fight the 5v5 composition just head on in the mid lane. Deus, I know you know what I'm talking about there. That's what AoE randoms do. They just make the enemy make poor decisions, and the early game doesn't matter anymore. Oh, you thought short hop was the carry on Jinx? No, it was Josie. It was Lee Sin. You saw that pentakill. Like everything you think about AoE randoms, they just subvert your expectations, and then all of a sudden your Nexus explodes.
It's big, and you could see the downfall of it. I do want to roll a clip that we have here that was really the start of everything going down south here. Deus, if you would take me through this.
Okay.
choice words as this was playing out.
This is the wrong clip. This is the wrong one. I need the Rift Herald one.
You need the
Bay
Rift
State,
Herald. You need
You
the
guys
Rift
better be listening right now. I need you guys listening in right now. Okay. I might be trolling. I thought I posted it. My bad.
It's okay. Talk. Everyone knows the fight. Just talk about the fight.
It's at 8 minutes. It's at 8 minutes. We got it. Someone, whatever. The boys in the back, I need you to pull it up, low key. Okay, I'll set the stage.
Okay.
We got 4 boys in the top lane. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Renekton is there. Jawzy and Competition 9 lurking in the shadows in the tri-bush, prowling the night. But what is this? A ward? A green ward in the tri-bush placed by the Renekton? The crocodile has eyes on them. He looks at them as he begins to bait a fight. We have the bear coming in to support his animal brother. We have Braum, basically an animal himself with that beastly physique, strolling his way through the topside river. What is this? Ornn has to lose his ultimate and his flash, and he has no TP. Gassed. The Herald is free for Bay State, a wonderful play set up by their previous tower dives, utilizing the Renekton's advantage. What is this? Gassed. AoE randoms comes to still contest them. They come, swords in hands, bows. All they have is their courage and their confidence because they do not have numbers. Keyword here, guys, they do not have numbers. Okay? It is a 4v5. Bay State looking them dead in the eye. They think to themselves, I like that. I like that confidence. I like that gumption. You may take it.
Honestly, nobody could have said that better.
You may
You are-
take.
You showed up. I respect the attitude. It is yours. And they left the Herald with their numbers advantage and with the cherry on top. With the cherry on top. AoE looks in the top and they're like, what? The Renekton is still there? Can't we just invade their jungle and wait for the rotation? And then they kill the Braum. Buddy, no one's standing behind you. Where are the boys? The Renekton is still slamming the turret down. We need to be moving. We need to be LPL. We need the Chinese aggression. This is NA, but we can be more. We can be better.
I feel like we're gonna have another inspirational clip out of that.
I just throw it. We can't top that. What am I
We
supposed to
can't. We can't. I
That was
feel like we can't
beautiful.
top it. We can't. No,
We
it was
need to be
beautiful.
serious, Bay State. We need to be serious. No more nonsense. Only gameplay. I didn't want to do this. I didn't need to tell the world your playbook. But where's the Zoe? Where's the Lux? Where's the Xerath? Serenok, you better be watching. Because I'm watching you, buddy.
You know, we've talked a lot about Bay State and whatnot inside of it. We've had some inspirational speeches now about like what Bay State can do, but Beatdown, before we end up throwing it over to the Castadesk, I do want to run through with something through you here because you had some choice words saying, "Wait, Jinx wasn't the carry all along." You were talking about it in the Twitch chat. I saw you clicking away. It was who was it?
It was Josie. The Lee Sin pentakill. No, he didn't actually have the Muay Thai skin, so I can't praise him too much because that's the correct way to play Lee Sin. But the point is, Josie was the carry, and oh my god, we have the clip. I love that, and you're just gonna see this fight. Josie gets one. You see Short Hop is on top, no flash, no cleanse. It doesn't matter. She's not important. Don't worry about Jinx. You see, Conquerdo was focusing the wrong person all along, and he paid for it with his life just after that fact. And it was just the easiest penta of Josie's life. I'm telling you, the mind control is too strong. My prediction is coming true. AoE randoms are about to 2-0.
No, I object. I object.
You do.
What you're saying about Josie here is the equivalent of someone else doing all of the work for the presentation. He shows up, he's like, guys, give me my lines. They gave him the lines. He came out there guns blazing. He was 1-4 before that clip or whatever he was. And then he ended the game 7-4. Props to him, right? But, Josie, my eyes are on you too. We need to perform. We need to
Sometimes you
perform in
gotta
the next
fake it
game.
till you make it, man. Like
Maybe
He's still got an A+.
a better jungler next game. Maybe a better jungler next game. It's okay.
I'm watching you, buddy. No one is letting you step away from this. Okay.
What does that
Well-
mean?
Don't worry about it. Words are up to your interpretation.
Yeah, its words are open to interpretation here. There's nothing more fearsome than Deo's out here with the tiger
That's true.
suit going on. You know, he's got that going. You don't want to mess with him right now. His words, they could be threatening and they can also be inspiring. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we need to go ahead and see what the action may have in store for us here. So we're going to throw it over to the casters. Ravish and Rebel, take it away.
Let's go, Bay State!
Hey, how you doing? What's up? I'm Ravishing Ravish. Thank you to the desk, Travesty, Beatdown Boulevard, and Deos. I'm here with the Dean, Rebel Fox, Merrick. You can follow us down here if you want to follow more of our journeys and what we're doing and what we do every single day of our entire lives. Because everything we do, we put out publicly. I hide nothing from the people. How about you, Dean?
No, I have a lot of classes that I do stuff for that no one is ever going to see the light of again. But if you want that, I guess I can send it to you fine folks, just probably not through Twitter. A funny point on that, I counted 37 hours in R just coding things all week. So this is the best reprieve I could have ever asked for, is casting League of Legends, even if it is with you, Mr. Ravish. I cherish this time because coding in R is not what I want to do with my life.
I don't want to do that with my life either, and that sucks to suck, honestly. I can't relate. That sounds real boring. You should find other hobbies to do, Dean. Like, for example, watching more of these games, you see AoE, we know they're one up with this series, and they're playing absolutely fantastically. That was actually a genuinely fun game to watch between these two teams there, because you saw Bay State started looking like they're coming ahead. Things are moving in their direction, and then AoE comes at the side, and this large man named Short Hop decides, I will rain rockets down upon you, as if I'm Madara Uchiha. But Madara Uchiha put down comments. So the reference still kind of works.
It was the best like comparison I have for that game. It's like if you've got a set of train tracks and there's somebody on the train tracks, and they if they're on a light jog running away from the train, they're gonna get hit by the train. They're gonna get hit by the train no matter what. But if they can run fast enough and get off the tracks, I don't know why they're sealed onto this track for some reason. But it felt like that's what it was. Is the beginning of the game was walking / a light jog from the side of Bay State when they needed to be full sprint for the entire time. So maybe that's what you need, or you throw other tools into it. I know Mr. Deos talked about the siege mages that came in with Lux and Xerath, and that was banned out for the most part. But also a diver, just something that could come in to try to put pressure onto that backline as fast as possible would have been something very helpful for this composition to have been running in that game.
Exactly. Access, setting up flanks, and making sure that a lot of the fights that were essentially came down to a coin flip would have been much more assured. So you want to make it like Two-Face, right? You can't set your life on essentially just either heads or tails. It has to be heads, or as Twice says, yes or yes. You're not a Twice fan, are you, Dean?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's completely understandable, as I'm getting word that we're that we're going to draft very soon as well. So Twice is a Korean K-pop girl group who makes very catchy music. I recently just tried to listen to them, and my God, they're all I can think about because their songs stay stuck in my head exponentially as we're in draft. Okay, Dean?
I just can't imagine. You talked about singing. What was it that you were singing earlier?
Frank Ocean, yeah.
Frank Ocean. And I just think you come out of the bathroom or something after a shower, just blasting K-pop. How I would react to that. I just can't even imagine what that would look like as we get into draft really quickly here between these two teams.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Okay. This is taking literally seconds, but look, bans are cool. They're pretty much the same as last time.
Exist.
They actually don't, because look, they just took off the Rumble, Serenok, Zoe. Of course, you don't want to have that. They're leaving the Zerth up for now, but what's really important is, look, Bay State took away Jinx, but they have the Diana. That's Diana Jungle. Jazzy picked up for him and him only, straight up.
Yes, he did. The champion got really strong pretty much overnight with just a couple of buffs that had come in, and they were immaculate. They did take it down just a little bit of armor nerf, a little bit of attack speed nerf, not enough to bring it out of the jungle, and it's been explosive really, really heavily. I will say the one knock I have on it is it's super good with Rel. I heard that from a couple of other casters. It was actually Lennon who'd recommended it to me, but specifically Diana as just a champion in general is so obscenely strong in a lot of different situations. You can team fight with it. It's got a lot of individual strength. You've got a lot of diving potential. There's so much that the champion's capable of now that it just wasn't able to do last patch.
considering individual diving potential on the other end, okay, I'm gonna hold myself and wait to talk about everything else first. Diving potential on the side of Bay State, they decided to pick much more utility. Base mid laners, like you were mentioning, going with the same style of the TF, but instead to pick up the Galio, a lot more variable and valuable CC in my opinion, because that taunt is assured, and still sticking with that Volibear jungle more than likely. But maybe top flex, but that's a Yone, Dean. That is a Yone that they blind pick into Bay State, and Serenok, hold on, can he pick Xerath into this? He easily could, right?
Did you say could he pick Xerath into this?
Could he not?
All right, could you do this for me? Could everyone in chat just do this for me? That's to SBDVDF. Bye. Yone, Diana, bye. You don't exist. There's no appeal for you. Sorry, bud. Damage is too high. There's so much dive already on this team, and even worse is okay. Now you're just posing for more pictures. But like, think about this: you've got like Diana who can go in really heavily. You've got Yone who can go in really heavily, and even worse, you have a Lantern to be able to pull people out. And right now, the only peel you've got is this Galio taunt to try to get into that. But in the wrong situation, if Galio ults into the front line, all of a sudden your Jinx is left alone, and your damage source is gone. Like you said, you could pick Xerath or something to try to even further increase that range, take away a little bit of that interaction that Diana or Yone might have. But even that, I mean, if Xerath gets dove on again, there's no peel for the Xerath. There's nothing there to protect. This is a forward fighting composition first and foremost that this team's got, and they're going to pair down with the Ashe as well, where now you have no ability to move backwards either. You can't even turn this into a kiting composition. You just have to completely level this into a bulldozer and try to turn this into almost a death ball just to make sure your Jinx can even have space to move forward.
I'm scared if I'm Bay State right now. Terrified. Literally shaking in my boots that I don't currently own. Because they have to be able to find some way to stop all that's coming at them. And this, I was going to say, the Rel actually would be pretty solid pick, considering if they wanted to possibly do so, as I believe Dean is currently frozen. I thought he was doing that face, but no, he's just gone. Oh, you just held it.
Yeah,
nice.
I held it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm talented.
We can't stay on that for too long, right? Come on, man. It's just like, but like you mentioned, right? Just stopping a lot of what's coming at them, or be able to counter engage the abilities on the backside. Much more CC, a lot more toss, and just togetherness for the side of Bay State College is what we're going to bring out to just two large circles. And with the addition of the Camille, they'll be able to do exactly that. Please don't pick Vlad. Please, for everything that is holy and good, that's locked.
So. Oh, it wasn't locked.
No,
I got pranked. There's
look,
no timer.
Steve,
okay.
Look, because the red on top doesn't. Yeah, thank you. Look, as a Vlad player, you don't want this. You don't need it. If everything that's going on Bay State, you just die. But good, we're not gonna like that.
I think Vladimir would have been fine here. The Renekton's better into the likes of Camille. My problem with Bay State's composition right now is, like, I don't like Galio specifically into Yone. I don't think it's a perfect matchup for Galio, and all it's really doing is roaming around the map, trying to aggress against other places, like wave clearing against Yone. And, like, if you get into fighting phase, like, again, you're not really peeling. Rel doesn't peel particularly well for Jinx. So, again, you've pigeonholed yourself to where your one main damage source is Jinx, and she dies very quickly to the combination of Diana Yone. And then your lanes aren't looking great either, where it's like, okay, like, your Galio isn't phenomenal into Yone, your Camille's losing into Renekton early on into the game. Even the Ashe and the Thresh are really good at just shoving in, constantly poking away over and over and over again. It's buying so much of the space for Jossie to just bop around the map with this Diana pick and just pick people off, get kills all over the place, just run things the way he did on Lee Sin, but in an even more efficient way, because this champion's actually good.
Which, Dean, I do agree with you, right? Diana Jungle as of right now is honestly low-key a free win in my opinion, because she's able to just do so much general reliable damage. I've seen that Nash's build come out as well, and once she's able to get that, she's unstoppable. Oh my gosh, she becomes such a disgusting champion. Now, of course, Galio can try to stave her off for how long, though? But one thing I want to point out is that if you look at a couple of specific things, this is what I'm seeing in terms of framing.
Sure.
AoE randoms. So if you combine Diana Ultimate with Galio W, Camille R, and along with Rel R and Volibear E, you get the symbol for the Olympic Games. All 5 circles coming up in one to form one back and forth.
cringe. I don't know what that was, but nobody listened to him because he's first off, the circles aren't even the same size, but I'm not even going to talk about it because I don't know what that is. The strengths of Bay State here when it comes to framing and not talking about the Olympic symbols that are created with all the circles. I don't know what that was, but okay. But you have Camille Galio for a lot of dive potential into what would be Ashe or Diana or some of these other champions. Rel and Volibear accomplish the very same thing. The intention here is that your front line has to be so strong that you pull the attention of like Jossie and Yone away from the back line where your Jinx is, to make sure that Jinx is able to just throw rockets into the other team. If they're not strong enough also to try to get past, or if there's a good sidestep or flash coming through from the likes of the Jinx as well, then SDB has the ability to outplay that kind of fight, and there's a lot of front line to have to deal with. But it feels so heavily like all of the dive potential that's there from the side of AoE randoms is enough to put pressure onto Jinx pretty much no matter what the situation. So that's what I'm really, really terrified of at this moment from the side of Bay State, is like they have to do so much in terms of just permanent engage to make sure that you can even step forward with Jinx to throw rockets into a fight, that safety is just never going to be there, and they're not going to be able to get their footing whatsoever. They have to rely really heavily, I think, on working with this Galio-Camille combination with the Volibear, because the early game damage and the dive potential from those three champions is humongous to take over the top side and just try to get Jinx into this later game with this powerful top side to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Just protecting SDB's enabling the game for the side of Bay State, but all the way on the side of AoE randoms, right? What we definitely like you were talking about, getting competition ahead. Like literally, this Yone, if he has a just a exuberant advantage, I fear for the lives of everybody on Bay State. Although they do have, decently tanky players like you're mentioning, with the Volibear, along with Sherlock, once he's able to get 1 to 2 items depending on what kind of build he does, right? And even the Rel too, which I find is disgustingly tanky. Yone could probably just tear through almost every single one of them, and along with the Diana, just the potential burst that is present there with the wombo combo that can bring out, along with Chim diving alongside of them. They're looking to get exploded essentially. I'm obviously looking a lot at Chim to set up potential flanks to allow for good stuns, to at least have Diana and Yone come into the back, because their engages can be decently predictable too. But if everybody just held down there, where are they gonna go? Oh, wait, I know, back to Bay State.
They will. It's another like idea where it's okay, if they're going to dive and they're going to use these AoE tools to try to put pressure into Bay State, if you've got all these frontline tanks around to stop the play after the dive, and you can soak that initial engagement from Yone, from Diana, which isn't easy to do with these frontliners, maybe there's a chance that from that point Jinx can work her way front to back, because to be quite honest, it feels like AoE randoms, they don't have the greatest front to back team fight with the Ashe in place of the Jinx, where Jinx can blow people up. So if the tankiness is there from like the Galio and the Rel, and they can soak that engage from the likes of the Yone and from the likes of Diana, then there is play that can come out from the side of Bay State, as there's a lot of engage and a lot of really good counter engage and a ton of frontline for the Jinx. But that's also contingent that they take that bullet instead of just like, hey, let's walk at Baron. And if they walk towards Baron, you just flank with Yone, you flank with Diana, and all of a sudden you have no damage because Jinx gets brought down. It feels like right now the test is here for Bay State to play perfectly, and that's a tough thing to ask into our undefeated team. That's a really, really tough prospect that they're going to have to overcome in immaculate ways just to try to even be competitive within this game.
We've seen how AoE can, and just how dominant they can be when they're able to set the right team conditions for themselves, right? They've seen that usually more often than not, if they get out laning phase, okay, if things are decently even, they usually manage to turn on a team fight in some way, shapes, or forms. And considering how chaotic the games have been consistently, that's what makes it all the more fun here, in my opinion, right? That's why I'm looking at AoE randoms right now. The first 10 minutes of the game, if they're not ahead, I think Bay State have done a decent job of playing their strengths currently. Because I think coming out even lane state, that's definitely a win for them. Because the competition isn't ahead. If Chim isn't ahead, we might need to ask a little bit more questions. Now, am I going to look at Diana again on this one? Yes, I am. Because Jossie, it falls onto him because he also needs a snowball, but everybody else needs a snowball. So how do you set up resources for the entire team? Simple. Jossie continues to kill skills whenever he can. Everybody just kills their other laners, right? Stay on your own, pretend this is a solo queue game. But that's, of course, just my opinion. If we're being serious, though, one thing I believe that's going to be such a key within AoE random composition is short hop and his use of the hawk shot to track wherever Skittles is going, just so Jossie can potentially, just match either his pathing or be able to, take things on the opposite on the opposite side to make cross map plays. There you go.
Yeah, the ability to create plays here from the side of like the Galio and the Camille for this Volibear are humongous. It's not as huge, I think, for the likes of the Rel and the Jinx on the bottom side here for Bay State, only because Thresh has really good disengage plus the Lantern to be able to pull Ashe out of bad situations. But this is punishable, as it's 3 melee champions into 3 melee champions with a lot of really good CC to work with here on the side of Bay State, which is the problem that I feel like they're going to run into. So like you said, Short Hop with that Hawk Shot, being able to track the enemy jungle is going to be humongous for getting those timers ready for Chim for competition to make sure that they either have proper, backing and they're making sure to get out of the way of the rest of the map, or it's a place where you can attack for Jossie to make sure that that's going to come through. Another option also, of course, is that they play through bottom lane and they say, okay, Short Hop, focus, start popping off, make sure that we can put you across the map. All of a sudden, you have an Ashe with a bunch of range CC into melee champions, which is going to make their lives absolutely miserable, which is another possibility for AoE randoms as well. So keep your eyes on those two things, either the defensive top side or the aggression to bot side, and then the transition into top side after that comes through. And I agree with your point from earlier, where I think Bay State, if they get into mid game with relatively even footing, this composition is really hard to try to aggress against, because I don't think Diana and Yone necessarily have the burst damage even on one item to get through all this very, very meaty front line.
Right now, as we head on into game number 2 between both of these teams here, Dean, it's very, very exciting between I look about AoE randoms to be able to excite us with what they have to bring out to, considering not only the flashy skins and plays, but what they're able to do as they're going 4-bot. All 4 of them are looking to just nail down whoever is there, and considering they do have a pretty solid level 1, right? This should be so much fun as they pass towards the bot lane. They could probably catch out SDV here. They already used the early W. Fortunately, no volley to touch anybody. And SDV's right there. They don't know. Oh.
Nobody knows. It's not going to happen.
That's
You
the
didn't walk
point of
into the
fishing.
river. Yeah, he didn't walk into the river, which is really unfortunate, because that is a punishable offense, an offense punishable by death specifically. If you don't walk into the river there, you don't see them approaching from the right or from the left, and that means that, of course, the Jinx just dies, because you can cleanse the first Lantern that comes through, but if you get by have Ashe Volley, I mean, honestly, even flashing at that point is just not going to be worth it into this team, so it's really tough to try to find a position. So you basically have to burn Cleanse and Flash immediately if you're Jinx, just to get out of that cross move, and that's already a death sentence in terms of everything else. But randoms don't actually go for anything. They just let them sit on bottom side. Jinx goes completely unpunished, and everything is as it should be across the map, as both teams just lay down a little bit of defensive vision. You do get that one ward, which is going to spot out the Jinx and the Rel not leashing, so they do have a bit of information on where this Volibear is starting at least.
Yeah, like yet again, both jungles starting on opposite sides of the map that we see exactly as before, so we should expect to see the same sort of setup in terms of ganks coming out from both Jazzy and Godwolfer, considering how they split up the map previously. So likely we'll see it back yet again between the two teams here, Dean, though. But Serenok out at the beginning took the what I assume was a really bad trade, and so they're not generally not going in his favor, considering how low he is. The competition already pushing him out of lane, making sure he just cannot farm. If you are a Galio in this lane, you just give up the first 2 or 3 waves. You do not want to be here at all.
It's tough playing into not only an AD champion, but then into a melee champion with so much attack speed to be able to work with in these first early levels here. Especially one if you have W and Q, there's just so much trade potential from the likes of the Yone to begin with. If he has Conqueror stack, you just absolutely get nothing. So Serenok, he's playing for the team. He's playing to make these aggressive plays across the map, but not going to have anything to start with in this game, as the health bar has already been dropped pretty low. The one thing, level 3 is ready, and Goldwolfer is here. They're going to try it for a play.
Oh, actually really well done. The good layering of CC, but unfortunately Goldwolfer just wasn't really able to there in time. If he lands a lightning strike on the competition, then at least they might have been able to get something else to slow him down. But good punish, good flash.
Yeah, double flash here from the side of the Volibear and the likes of the Galio in exchange for competition's 1 flash, and he of course has the E to trade with, so he can always stay relatively safe. This is a wave that's going to have to be picked, so this is a nice little collapse. They denied him a little bit of minions because it came into tower, and then Serenok's going to be able to get a solid back off here and reset from that early trade. But again, that double flash loss on these 2 melee champions will be harmful, especially if you can find ganks from Jossie into this mid lane to try to get this Yone going, as Goldwolfer, again, 3 camps, level 3, just going for a second gank already, getting completely outpaced by this Diana at the moment.
I mean, considering he's been paying so much attention into just trying to play more so for his laners because he knows they have to come out ahead. But Jossie's here too to possibly catch up. Cyranok, okay. Interesting position as they get more priority over the mid lane. To Cyranok is losing so much here, unfortunately. Potato has to roam up as well just to make sure they're not a complete disadvantage. They could possibly catch out Jazzy. Competition is a bit too far forward. Gets taunted too, but the Winds of War will not touch her.
Yeah, so I see what happened right there. Jossie was actually looking to go to bottom crab because he knew that the camps weren't there from the side of Goldwoofer, who got spotted out playing around that mid side. But you can't punish the bottom crab right there only because the Rel was able to move and Pocus was not, since the early shove went over to the side of the Jinx and the Rel, which is why in that river it was forced to take from the likes of the Volibear, who's now trying to counter jungle Gromp away from Jossie. Jossie's got this huge advantage and was able to get it back off. So this is the timing you're looking for right now, is Jossie could walk into the opposing jungle and just take away 3 full camps away from the likes of the Volibear if Goldwoofer's not careful. He only just got level 4 with his 5th camp, which was the takeaway of the level 2 Gromp. But again, there's so many camps available right now for the likes of Goldwoofer that if Jossie sniffs this out, he could be on the counter jungling path, especially with the level 5 and the early itemization.
He's just denying literally everything away from him, where he's doing what I like to call is a communism strat, which is just your jungle, no, our jungle. He takes them all the way, also giving him a level lead as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, and that's unfortunate there, as I believe that Concerto just took a battery yet again. And we were saying it a lot of times, we said it again and again that Bay State needs to come out a little bit more even in the laning phase, and this makes it not as possible as the idle Durand just gets pretty much chunked down. The flash comes out, short hop takes it. Well, a couple more people to do it onto Potato, but they could punish him. 2 turret shots would have meant his death, but he only takes 1.
Yeah, short hop close there. I just going under tower trying to force out something from the likes of this bottom lane where that poke is really starting to add up. I was actually oh-mying at the fact that, again, Volibear had not reset either of the AoE camps on the bottom side, and red still has yet to be taken, which means that, like, none of this is experience that's coming back to the Volibear. So these CS numbers, they're accurate in terms of the number of camps that have been taken, but not to the amount of golden experience, especially experience specifically, that these camps are going to be giving, because Volibear has not been able to find anything on this bottom side. These are level 1 camps, not giving experience away the way that you would want to, as already level 3 camps should be spawning here for Jossie, which is a huge discrepancy in terms of the experience that will be brought, as bottom side is still super weak from the side of base 8. Now Volibear is going to be a little bit behind in terms of Jossie just in experience alone, and everywhere else on the map has not been fantastic here from the likes of base 8 as we expected them. Again, if they get into mid-game untapped, there could be no issues. They could be having themselves some solid team fights, but I feel like right now it's not going as well as they would like it to.
No, although not necessarily a ton of kills have gone on either side directions, right? It's maintained to be relatively even, but the farm leads, like, as well, like, not going on either direction. The main thing, and the main thing that we focus on is so long, right, is just how ahead Jossie's been getting. He's maintained that level lead, and although Godwolf is trying to catch up as much as he can, like, he's been trying to play more so for his lanes, at least be able to continue to applying pressure, because he knows it's an added disadvantage. And I believe he sees it too, is that they come out even, they're perfectly fine, and because it's roaming, at least they have bot side priority, because, you know, short hop wasn't necessarily there, they're already back. But look for this fight, the flashes in, gets that is get the pull, but here's enters, but it doesn't matter, it's a bit too late. Already Danny gets the first blood, looking at the back, gets a taunt in as well, but competition wants a little bit more. A lot more damage comes down, he's getting poked down, and he gets exploded as well, sliced in half.
This is issues that are coming out from the side of Bay State. Again, not only is their composition not really fit right here to try to fight super early into this team who's got a good amount of damage, but right there, again, Goldwoofer took so much damage from the Dragon, combined with the fact that he's only level 5 because of those camp resets that didn't come through early onto the Raptors and the likes of the Krugs. That means that Jossie just gets to walk in as soon as the level 6 is attained by taking the Scuttle Crab. You just immediately pop that ultimate, are able to burst out the likes of the Bully there, and you have this big advantage. Yes, they were able to get first Dragon here on the side of Bay State, but that's not going to mean anything if this Volibear is just going to get outpaced by the likes of Diana, who now on this next back is going to get huge itemization, and that's a big factor within this game. We talked about how the Volibear needs to be active, needs to get some topside plays. Bottom lane, I don't know what's going down here, but they are consistently poking, and this damage is just ramping up way too heavily for the bot side of Bay State to handle.
what's one way to make sure that Jinx has no impact on the game, Dean? Make sure she can't farm or step up in the lane or do damage or, you know, be able to play League of Legends, unfortunately. Which League of Legends, the game that we all do enjoy, especially when we're able to walk up into lane and not hug our tower. Not being a weak side laner myself, I understand exactly how the Jinx feel. That first tier 1, Dean, me and him have been together for, I can't even count how many years. All I've known is him, and all they know is me. But enough about me, though. Like we're seeing so far, though, although they haven't racked up just the kill count, though, it just seems like just the pace of the game is completely going in AoE random's favor, no matter how many roams God Wolfer is able to make.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just so that you know, if you scroll over a tower, it actually has some color to it. I know you're accustomed to seeing it in black and white, but that's not really your fault. So,
thanks.
Anyhow, yeah, control of the map has just been completely now in favor of the side of randoms. This could be the play that changes it. Jossie has to flash immediately, and they're looking for some collapse, but it just doesn't matter as Rift Herald gets taken away as well. It's a 3,000 gold lead before Rift Herald gets dropped here. It is a 20 or 17, almost 20 farm lead here in the jungle position alone. There's a bit of farm here and there in pretty much every single lane that's giving them this massive advantage, plus the kills that have come through. I think this bottom side is just going to be the points of affection here. Jossie, all you got to do is walk down here with these sword shoes. You press ultimate on top of the Jinx. She's going to blow up, and then this tower is going to melt immediately afterwards. I feel like this play has to happen here. It's forced almost from the side of the Volibear and the rest of Bay State.
They could possibly let the CC on top of it. They get the slow as well. There, Rel goes in, and nice play at the back. Everyone said, cannot get in. Short hop, though, is ignited up. Will be, sorry, not ignited, but takes a fair amount of damage, down to a fourth of his health. Right here comes Jossie for the response. They miss the hook, but they immediately go on to Auto Potato. Flood back yet again, though. Has the ultimate out, but on the meanwhile, Potato gets diced up and put and served over easy to your team.
The tomato?
The potato, I say.
That's the egg thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Your food references, they're mixed bag tonight, my friend. I don't know what to tell you. But again, this is a play that has to happen from the side of Bay State. Is they have to try to go into bottom lane to prevent the Rift Curve from just getting dropped and immediately popping, but they don't do it fast enough. And the amazing play from Pocus prevents this. Is now turrets getting dropped immediately. Short Hop and Jossie are going to be collecting that one as Pocus wasn't around to collect that gold. So even worse, the gold's going on to the proper targets here from the side of randoms, man. I don't know what you can do from Bay State. They're not walking into mid game with anything close to where we would expect them to be in terms of gold advantage or being even. No, sir. Instead, Diana's walking in with a ton of penetration, likely Nart Harvester as well. You're going to have a Yone in a good position. Ashe is even going to be in a fantastic position to play in this game. And all of a sudden, any frontline, any preconceived notions you had about the potential of a team fight are just completely gone now from the side of Bay State in this mid game.
4-0. A tower up, a push on the bot side, and a lead on your jungler is exactly what you don't want to see if you are Bay State. We've been accounting it the entire time here, D. Like, Bay State, you try to stave off as much as they can on the side of AoE, but honestly, they've done such a good job on trying to make sure that the pace of the game maintains in their favor consistently, though. And finally, getting good picks, although it was slow, but when you get to the mid game at 11 minutes and your bot tier 1 is falling, that cannot be a good sign, as God Wolfer might be a little bit caught up, and instead on the other end, it is actually Short Hop who will die, though, because Pocus missed the flame and the hook.
Yeah, fantastic CC chaining there to be able to get the pick onto Short Hop right around the time the Dragon's going to be up. So now the fight is a lot harder to take if you're on the side of randoms. If Chim can TP in before the Camille can, that could be a way to give it, or to try to take this. As this, again, the Dragons seem to be the only way that Bay State's been able to contest in the slightest, is just taking some of these early and trying to set up as a win condition, but they haven't been able to fight it all. In fact, actually, they're pulling off to try to find a fight on bottom side.
Oh, good taunt as well at the back. Jossie goes in onto Short Hop. The Fate Seal comes out and gets down too, and there is STV. And there he goes, a nice little magic hit all the way downtown. Comes the arrow to stun down too, and Pockets put as much damage as he can as the support. Nonetheless, Dean, but Cyranock and both Avatar in trouble. Here comes Clem, and that means that is a dead Cyranock and a dead Potato, sir. Who's serving match? Because I got turkey.
You remember what I said early on when Jossie in competition, if they can press their ultimate buttons onto Jinx, she's going to die. And you know how in this fight, they both pressed their buttons on Jinx and then she died? That's why these things are happening to you. You can't take that fight. Your Jinx has to position so far back to not die. And when that counter engage comes through from Jossie in competition, it just completely takes away your damage. You've only got frontline left. There were big plays across the board for the most part. Short Hop's ultimate focus was doing some really good stuff to stall things out. But really and honestly, this does just come down to dive potential onto Jinx, removing the damage, and even worse, instead of doing the dragon, which was free for this team to take because the jungler was down, they opt to go into bottom side play. What are you doing, Bay State? Just take your dragon and walk away. You could probably try to stall this game out another 10-15 minutes if you continue this dragon stacking, but instead you give that one over to the opposite team, and you give them more kills and more of a gold advantage, sitting up 7,000 at only 14 minutes in this one.
Can I just point out that Paucus was actually staving off the engage coming up from Potato and Serenok half the time during the team fight, even though Short Hop was actually dead? And to support, nonetheless, that is unfathomable, I have to say, but impressive by the end of it, nonetheless, Steve. It genuinely impresses me how much the Thresh is able to do, and with only a couple of souls. He's 3-0-5.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is a 3-0-5 Thresh. He's popping off this game right now, which is ridiculous. And only one assist ahead of Jossie here, because Jossie's 3-0-4 with 120 farm. That's more than everybody except for Chim right now in the opposite lane. What goes for the Proto Belt as well, which is the more single target oriented, which again, expectation here, kill Jinx. That's all you got to do, and that's what you do as Diana. You just press that onto Jinx, you press your ultimate key, she's immediately dead. And now every single lane has this massive advantage. There's really nobody who's doing well enough. Jinx is the one person who's got an okay amount of gold, but even that's not enough to save you in the mid game. You almost have to take this super late if you're Bay State, and even then, I don't know if you have the ability to save Jinx from all this dive potential. So that threat is just never going to leave.
But you know who's here to stay, Dean?
Me.
Us.
Yeah,
yes.
We'll always be here for you, Chad.
Exactly. We're never not going to leave them. But as right now, Admiral Potato will leave from the mid lane because he knows he has no priority over this Rift Herald as well. He can't even try to contest it or put out any vision at all, as they'll willingly get up at this point. Although Bay State got one dragon, we'll saw the second one up in the next 2 minutes and 35 seconds, though. And with this Rift Herald, it'll give AoE randoms even more priority over any lane they want, as they can push wherever.
No.
Looking for a possible dive out to Concordo. Jossie's there, but he's spotted out though, so it's really good ward at least. It's and he'll go away.
That ward was red warded, and the worst part was it actually canceled right as Jossie entered that jungle. I don't know why he pulled off there, maybe thinking or maybe anticipating the return play from Goldwoofer, but that could have been a dive really easily, as now you gotta find somewhere to put down this Rift Herald. I think waiting for the Renekton to push up super far, they have to respond with Serenok, and maybe you can look to overload on top side, where you can push down top lane, look for a charge onto the inner tower on top, and all of a sudden the entire side lanes are busted. But you don't find the mid lane play, which I think is what they were looking for immediately with Jossie, potentially off the back of that ward that got put down, because they were just afraid that Jossie had been spotted out instead of anything else. Competition sees Goldwoofer here.
Nah, they're fine.
Nothing.
But considering, like, he gets spotted out, he just a little chip, it's just like, I give him 2 shots and I let him go. You're fine. Get out of here. I ain't nothing gonna happen. But at least with that, they'll consider Goldwoofer is there. They're not gonna contest this dragon. Instead, they'll go down into mid. They just give him a top tower for free. I'd be interested to see how they decide to respond, at least, because basically have the advantage. They're also looking at the side. Serenok could possibly get the top, but he doesn't walk in range of the sum of the Rift Herald. The tower won't die either, but I guess those get a little bit of gold. No, it will die this time. Yeah, it's at half. It'll die. I'm a liar.
Okay. Yeah, you're a liar. Okay, it will go down eventually, just not. Yeah, you're fine. I knew what you were saying. It's cool. Everybody knew what you were saying. Don't worry about it. Your analysis was on point. I was really surprised Bay State didn't pull the trigger there, because it felt like there was a chance maybe to look for just a big rel play into a Galio ultimate, and that might have been the way to go for it, because I don't think Focus was really expecting it or in position to wait for it. But unfortunately, they're a little bit patient. They get jumped on, and the Gale Force has to be popped by the likes of the Jinx. It's not a huge cooldown, but what it means immediately see is that there's no fight to come afterwards, because if one of those defensive tools is down, you have to burn the other two in a fight. There's just no chance that the Jinx is ever going to survive. So right there, they gave up the mid tower. They're giving up a lot across the map for the most part, as a 6.5, 7,000 gold lead has arrived here from the side of AoE Randoms, as they're looking to take control of this next dragon in the game as well. I believe it's the third dragon game. And second for them inside of this one to begin their dragon stacking process for that soul point.
Dragon's up right as of right now too, and they're first to take. They have the vision set up across the board as well. They see down in bot side river, so I doubt basically really knows this is happening. Then they'll put the Jinx Rocket, but it'll glide by. It's a good setup as well from them to make sure that there's no one to possibly get caught out. Go for the pet ultimate steal. That can happen, which happens far too often. By the way, Dean, it is disgusting how much damage Jinx Rocket can do to monsters. When hit
nerf the execution damage on the rocket, please. Thank you, Riot, as much as possible. It is painful to see that a Jinx Rocket at level 2 can outsmite pretty much any jungler as long as it hits properly. It's tragic. It is cool to see all these Jinx Rockets just get thrown at objectives all the time, but unfortunately it feels pretty bad when stolen from you. I wanted to point out really quickly just how amazing the line of wards was there for Randoms from bottom to top side, because if you see in that like red quadrant here for base state, those wards are protecting the Renekton split push, and then they put them into their own red buff to make sure they can't lose a bunch of their camps, but even more importantly to protect competition. Some of that got cleared out. They know that's here. That's why you're seeing the grouping between Jossie, Focus, and Short Hop, and now all of a sudden everybody's caught out. That's real bad.
Yeah, he's just dead. They're gonna use the ultimate on him too, but they don't need to because he'll die eventually just with enough poke. Because a Short Hop will be able to get it. Then fight the great fight over their own red buff, but the arrow goes down. The Enchanted Crystal miss. We'll just watch everybody glide by, but they got the red buff thing. They do it.
Call that the enchanted the enchanted crystal missile because it missed instead of the arrow.
I just literally just said the enchanted crystal miss. Like it's just like
yeah, but like, you didn't say missile though, and like missile is like an actual term for something you shoot instead of just missing. You're angry. You're mad because you're bad. That's why.
Honestly, but looking at Ryza right now, though, AoE randoms I find just need to they don't need to necessarily force anything. It now falls onto base state to try to make a play for themselves because subsequently they're just bleeding gold across the map. Pressure AoE randoms can actually put. They can probably force down towers, completely get picked.
30,000 gold at this point.
At 20 minutes. How does
20 minutes? 30,000 gold. This is insane, folks. This is incredible. This is
the biggest gold lead we've ever seen in a single game of League of Legends. It is madness how this keeps happening on the Upstairs Premier League. You saw it first. Yes, you probably never see it again ever anywhere, bro.
I'm pretty sure the gold's probably somewhere closer to about an 8,000 gold lead, so call it like 36 and a half, somewhere in that area, but that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, you're going to make me do the math. All right, cool. You flipped over to the tab. I'm not doing the math. It's 36, 37, somewhere in that area. The chat can have it. 8,000 gold lead, that's what we'll call it from the side of randoms. And right now, most importantly, their damage is the ones with the advantage. As you can see, specifically in the jungle position, about 3,000 gold advantage for Jossie alone. That's a huge difference maker. And now also with the defensive tool of Zhonya's.
Okay, his flash just came back up, bro. You can't do him like that. So
that's right.
mean.
Yeah, I think. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about that. I had a joke lined up, but it feels distasteful, is what I'll say. So I'm not going to.
Understandable.
Yes.
I do appreciate you pulling off, though. But what they did not pull off was staying down to the bottom side river. Just looking towards God Wolfer. There's 3 people there, though. But I find that we are just so sure they can take this fight. They pull him back, use the Iron Ultimate as well. But he started with the middle of Magnus Storm, use at the back as well. Just to be able to lock them down. But you're just locking them into your own little death ball. You're asking for the death, saying, please, get me and me only.
Focus. Stop taking kills, man. I don't know what's happening with these kills. I don't know if it's the Igniter or an auto attack, but he's taking 4 kills. If those 4 kills are on Yone or Ashe, this game is just... There's no chance that this game ever turns back to the side of base stage. But, okay, there's some semblance for an attempt here. TP's coming through from both laners right now on the bottom side of the map as they're looking for the 5-on-5. Okay, they should turn for this. They have the damage for it, but unfortunately, I think because the health bar of Chim is so low, he either has to TP back in for this, or they're just going to turn away from it altogether. That's kind of unfortunate. It feels like my apologies, AoE Random is trying to accelerate this game, but they're struggling to do so. They might just have to wait out the dragon stacking, which is, it means 10 more minutes of gameplay pretty much guaranteed. But there's not much that Bay State can do about it because, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to walk into the dragon pit and lose around a dragon. That's not going to give you too much. The best case scenario, you get a win team fight, and then AoE Random is still ahead a pretty significant chunk of gold. So that's probably where we see this go.
Yeah. I would at least like AoE to, like you were mentioning, if they want to accelerate the game, is to try to gain some more side control and force basically to respond to it. Then take it more across the map, but competition just takes a bit of poke. Nice arrow. They should be able to actually go in on the Serenok to his stun. In Fate Seal taken out. Sayonara.
Painful. The CC right there, I think, layered just perfectly so that there were no buttons to be pressed by the side of Serenok. The arrow was seen for a decent distance, but again, it's not always easy to dodge that projectile. It's pretty quick, and you don't always expect it coming in right there. So Serenok can't sidestep in time, unfortunately goes down right there and does cost the team the dragon. That probably would have gone over anyway. Honestly, it's probably just a gold. I had to stop breathing there for a minute. I think my heart skipped a beat because I thought that was going to be the execute, but it does not go down.
It's like you mentioned before, Dean. Riot Games, if you're listening, which you're probably not, please nerf the execution damage on Jinx Rocket. Like the first couple times, it was cool seeing a Baron Seal or like an Elder Shield come in, but like when it's the umpteenth time that it happens, you actually expect it. Because it's just so unfortunate, like you mentioned, you cannot outsmite it, which is what makes it unfair. There's no real skill expression, I should say. But looking back on the side of AoE Randoms, though, they managed to get 2 dragons on the side for themselves. 25 minutes into the game, they've somehow gained an even more of a gold lead at 38,000 gold, if I'm calculating that correctly. But 11-1 though. But all they're doing right now is they're just giving Bay State a chance to obviously come back into the game and scale up, especially at least with Short Hop, so that, because if they don't get him, they might actually lose, because Short Hop will be able to do enough damage that like he might make the fights a little bit more even. So I want to see more side control, because Concerto as well has been getting his free farm. He's up to 2 items and will be able to do a lot of damage if he gets it on the Short Hop.
There's a lot of members that are threatening here from the side of Randoms, and there are not that many threatening members here on the side of Bay State, which is the biggest problem. Competition's in a little bit of a rough spot.
Yeah, Emilius goes back in. He will not necessarily save him, but at least it'll save him out. But he goes back into the other team, so he'll likely die. But look at the other side. The Short Hop putting out so much damage, they can't get to him. Pocus takes another kill. Bro, how do you keep doing this, man? You're 5-0. You don't need any more as a Thresh, but the fight goes into the way. It's 3 for nothing for AoE Randoms.
That's a tough one. You try to force something right there, but it felt like Bay State went so overextended that they weren't able to get onto anyone that mattered. And again, you can't kill Competition and Short Hop and Jossie over the course of one fight easily enough to where you can actually find these 5-on-5s that you're looking for. Pocus, don't give a shutdown over, man. You got 5 kills. Are you really going to give gold over? No! Oh, Pocus!
He gave it over to the worst person possible in STV, man. We were saying they're allowing STV to scale ahead. We don't want the Jinx to do that, because when that happens, he does a lot of damage and the fights go a bit more even.
Dude's out here yoinking kills, giving shutdowns to the enemy Jinx. I can't believe it. Pocus, what are you doing? It's the only thing that we have to complain about in this game, unfortunately, for Random, which is why we're focusing on it too hard, because they're just smashing this game up and down. Pocus a little overextended while his team just takes the Baron off the map, as now the gold lead probably extended into the 2,000 range. You've got like Guardian Angel available for Short Hop, which is crazy, is now the divers can't even do enough damage. There's no chance there. You look at Goldovich, his 1,000 in top lane, 3,300, 3,500, something like that in the jungle position. You got 1,500, 2,000 out of the mid lane position. You got 2,000 out of the bot lane position. It's just too much to deal with. It feels like Bay State's dying incredibly. Is he though?
Oh wait, never mind. The heal comes back at the back. I forgot he was renekton, but
yes,
he tried to cluster arrow though. Does help that out a lot, as he's back up to just over most of his health at least. But the backup Wolfer might be caught out. His lot of damage. The poke coming in. Ashe with the Hunter's Fury will snipe him as he slays a bear in the forest. Hunt it down, team. But now look at the back. The back sword comes up huge to get down 2. This is the fight that Bay State wants, and they get almost all of them. A shutdown on a Serenok nonetheless. It's still a shutdown and pokes the back, trying to put as much CC as he can. Because look, on the other end, they get 2 tires, but it will not matter because so many of AoE will fall. Bay State get the picks, but they still get kicked.
They can't contest. Jinx, don't step in right here. Jossie will just one-tap you. There's not much you can do about this. You almost needed to reset right here, as it looks like they're going to pull off mid-inhib tower and then also top-inhib tower, which, okay, they actually don't even get top-inhib tower. I thought maybe that could have been pushed for by Yone, but unfortunately not going to be able to grab that one. Instead, just going to get the 1/3 tick mark. You can consider it really solid damage on the base here from the side of AoE randoms, but that's about it. You don't really expand your gold too much because of all the shutdowns you gave away. It seems like you went just a bit too hard with the Ashe on that back line during that last fight. So maybe a bit of an overstep. I think it's still winning for them because they destroyed that base. They gave themselves 2 options now to go for an inhibitor. Should they take another dragon or find themselves a winning fight, they could win the game off of the back of the damage that they just did.
Bay State now on completely the back foot at this point, though, D. Because you mentioned, like we were saying, with AoE, you really lose 3 at this point. You're able to push up to the base. It did not get a inhibitor, but Jossie, the last person with a possible shutdown that they could take away from him. Instead of taking the lantern, he goes back in, and now the Magus Storm, it's huge, and there's a shutdown over to SDV. It's so much damage coming out from him. We were telling Jinx how to scale up, and he's not in touch on the backside. He's taking out so many members of AoE Randoms. They cannot respond, though. Only 1 for 2, though, by the end of it, as Dragon is up.
That it is. And no jungle here means that the smite is definitely an advantage of Bay State. They should be able to snag this one. Pocus! No!
Again!
Come on, man!
The Jinx is 7-1, Dean. We were saying we didn't want this to happen. You know, when you're in like a bad timeline, you're like, man, I should have hoped things don't go bad. They're going bad.
Now, here's the only problem that I have. This entire situation is only existent because Jinx had Flash to start that fight. So yes, you Flash. Yes, you get 3 kills. Your Jinx is starting to scale up. You're able to actually team fight in time to time. And you're able to get quite a bit done. As you see, finally, the gold advantage taken by the likes of Jinx over top of the Ashe alone. But Flash is not going to be up in 2 minutes when that Baron is going to be set, and the stage is going to be set potentially for the game to start to be shifted. And that fight alone, Jossie would have killed outright Jinx were it not for the Flash to come through. So now there is not a fight to be had at all from the side of Bay State. They have to play around the timer of this Jinx's Flash. Otherwise, these fights still are going to the side of randoms. But at minimum, a breath of life given to the side of Bay State as the hit or the soul is not taken, and gold is in your 1 carry.
So what you're telling me, Dean, is that if SDV dies, that AoE can still win the game, but if SDV stays alive, Bay State win the game?
I don't know that I would point it specifically to that. I am simply saying that if the assassination doesn't come through from the side of randoms, the fight is much easier for Bay State to take, only because they've got better front to back. We talked about this when we talked about how tanky and how much engage there is on the front line, that if the Yone and the Diana can't get onto the Jinx, then that's one really big component of what makes this kind of randoms composition tick. And Short Hop is strong enough to try some carry from front to back. The double control, really, you're going to do him like that? Like, they just did that, man. Like, Pocus has done enough. He's given away 3 kills after going up 5 or giving away 3 deaths when he gets 5 kills. Like, that's just nothing. But we're going to ignore all of that for a second, just because I think the most important thing right now is pure front to back. Jinx is strong enough to carry Bay State, which is why they're looking for that. They just have to keep these divers off the back line to make sure randoms can't play the game that they're looking for.
Fortunately not though, but right now they're both just fighting for this at least mid lane priority, as top still maintaining in favor of Bay State though, because we've seen the Camille come there time and time again, able to push it, being able to be at it to at least the mid tier 2, but not really overstepping her bounds as of right now, right? We're saying before that I want AoE to pay a lot more attention to the sideways so they can force Bay State to respond, and then that's how they're able to move it onto their objectives, because as now Baron comes back up, Dragon is up another 2 minutes and 30 seconds as well. So the fight I find that comes down to here is definitely one that's so important for both of these teams. But yeah, we are first at the take. Do Bay State know this is happening? Yeah, they do.
They have, I think, an inkling. There's the blue ward that's going to confirm this for them. The problem is Jinx Flash is not up, which means if you've got Yone or you've got Jossie and you don't have them completely queued into where they're at, there's no chance of it. Now, that might be a mistake.
Immediately 2 heroes enters also aim, and a lot of damage comes out to STV. Wolves out the back. He's still going to be untouched. They're not getting him, but they get the Baron at least. So the Crystal Arrow gets almost nobody at all. But all of Bay State are falling one after another. It doesn't even matter that Jinx doesn't have touch, because they die and Jossie does so much damage. The ace for AoE randoms. and likely the game.
Yeah, it's just the game right there. The Baron is done. 30 seconds. There's nothing left to be had right now. Even the TP is going to come in from competition after he gets a reset. The problem right there, the front to back was set up by Bay State, but it was set up so quickly. Jinx wasn't there to start putting in damage until halfway down, and once you've already lost the frontliner. And any auto attack individually might be the difference between a crit killing off Diana, killing off Yone, killing off Short Hop, which almost happened despite everything else, and the entire fight going the opposite direction, which is what happened right here, because the Jinx had all the space in the world to move forward, but not until the fight was already lost here from the side of Bay State. So they're going to fall 0-2. They put themselves into a rough position to try to qualify for playoffs right now, and it's in the hands of their opposition. If a 2-0 comes out from the likes of, I believe it's Conviction, then they will make playoffs over top of our opposition. I think even if their opposition as well in University of Texas at Dallas, if they win out 2-0, they might also be able to step in and take away the spot from the side of Bay State. So now Bay State is just hoping on a wing and a prayer that they're going to even have a chance to fight for their right to go into playoffs.
Putting your faith in your opponent's hands is never a good thing, Dean, especially when you're fighting for your chance to make it to playoffs and to prove yourself as a one above all. But as of right now, that's essentially now Bay State have to just suspend relief and belief between all of these teams right now. But Dean, I gotta say, man, this was a very fun time. Now, AoE Random showing what they're at the top of the leaderboards, the top of the charts, just dominant through and through throughout this game, and they didn't give Bay State a single chance to respond.
Every one of their players showed up in the right ways at the right times during the series. We've seen this time and time again with this team where they can carry out of any position. And yes, they had their hangups. Yes, they had their mistakes. That's going to happen in any series. I think it showed far more in this one, especially in game 2 than ever before. But coming into playoffs, this is still an undefeated team. It's still the number 1 team coming out of the group. They are absolutely a threat, not just to take the, just the group and then, make noise in playoffs, but just to take the entire league in general. They're going to be a competitor you have to keep your eyes on. And in series wins like this, obviously, again, even if it's not the cleanest, a 2-0 is a 2-0. You take those all day. I'm excited to see what they will bring now. I think they're locked now, guaranteed the number 1 team out of this group.
Yes, they are indeed. I'll throw it out over to the desk. We're able to see and wrap it up for us. That'll be everything from us. Well, thank you for being here with me, but not really. I've been Ravish. I'll throw it over to Travis, Steve, Beaton Boulevard, and Deos to close us out.
Thank you all for coming to share my grief. My name is Deos, aka Coach Angelo, or as Bay State has called me once in the past, friend. Today, friends and family, we gather not for the death of a person, but for the death of a dream. My father always told me that with enough effort and gumption, you could accomplish anything. I could reach for the stars. I could defeat my demons. David could topple Goliath. But alas, tonight, David has fallen. I thought that this year was hard enough, but I didn't expect that it could get worse. We didn't just witness the loss of a university team. We witnessed the loss of my childhood ability to hope and dream. Tonight, we were given a hard check from reality that things don't always happen like in the fairy tales. This is for all the people in amateur fighting for your dream. A moment in silence, please.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Beautiful. Beautiful. I couldn't have said it better myself, Deos. Thank you for that. As we do get to see AoE randoms. They do get to pick up the series 2-0 there. Beatdown, we're going to start with you here, man. Going into this series here, AoE randoms came in with a different look going into this game, and definitely a different look that I think a lot of people were probably liking a little bit better in the early parts.
I was one of the people that liked it better. Travis, you can put me on that list. I think better comp than what we saw in game 1, and they played to it quite well, actually. When you have a champion like Yone, you can skirmish a lot better compared to like a Galio, for instance, just because of how much team fighting prowess that champion can carry post 6. And we see it in the first clip that's probably going to come up in a second now. Whereas I believe Bay State were actually up in terms of numbers, but unfortunately, you see. Yeah, here it comes. You see how how strong he is here, how much damage gets done. Josie playing Diana as well. Really good mid-jungle duo that they have for themselves. And this is just kind of like where things really started to go in AoE's favor. The gold lead just got insurmountable at this point. And despite the unfortunate fight there for AoE around the Baron pit later into the game, it just didn't matter.
Yeah, this is, I'm sure for our guest analyst here today, tough to watch for sure, but was definitely a better site for randoms to be able to perform here. And it was just them being able to clutch that out. And also, I believe we do have another clip here, and I'm sorry, Deus, but I'm gonna have to ask you to walk me through it here, man. We're gonna have that second clip playing here on your screen now. Tell me about this.
Okay, first let's just witness the downfall of the boys at the beginning. A lot of action going on. Things are looking good. It's a glimmer of hope, really. But like I said, that childhood level of dreaming, it's about to turn real ugly, real dirty, really soon. The clip is gone. Is the clip gone?
It's gone.
That's like their hopes and dreams.
Just gone like their hopes and dreams.
Honestly, I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they say about animals? It's when you corner them, that's when they're most dangerous. And Bay State showed that they still have that ability to find those opportunities, find those small windows to make those proactive plays and look for it. And you know what? To me, that's positivity, right? For Bay State and Upsurge, this isn't even the prize. They're scaling. They're waiting for the next competition, okay? Every moment of failure for them from this point forwards is a moment of growth. And you know what? AoE randoms, you eviscerated them. You put them on a platter. You ate them up real good. I like that. I like what I'm seeing. Honestly, we show that one clip for Bay State so they know that, hey, boys, at least you tried. It's okay. You lost, but it's okay. Sorry.
It's okay. You can let the tears come out whenever you would like. It's fine. But with that being said, randoms did get to pull out quite a nice early game for themselves. They get to show us something that I think everybody that has been watching the UPL and has been watching them as teams have been like, all right, this is what I want to see this team actually carry an early advantage. They did that. Got a little bit sloppier towards the later parts of the game there. But you know what? A dub is a dub, and they pick up the 2-0 here. So with that being said, I feel like there's not much more to say about this, really and truly. I mean, it was a very clean, concise game. With that being said, I do want to go ahead and bring up the MVP. Beatdown, you and me, I believe we both agreed onto it. Deus was in distress while we were going through this. We couldn't ask him. I couldn't. It was breaking my heart, honestly. You guys see this on stream. It was something else off stream. But
might have been worse than our loss in PG. TSM Academy. I don't know. Bay State just a level above, really.
Beatdown MVP. Hit me with it.
It's I'm gonna go with Josie. I think game one was a little kind of shaky, but I think past the mid game, especially after that pentakill, he definitely had a lot more influence over that game in particular. But a lot of it is definitely from game two on the Diana. Definitely really good in skirmishes, really good ultimates, save for clip number 2 from what we were showing. Like one positional error resulting in, I believe, his only death the entire game, and had really high kill participation. He was part of every fight, was contributing greatly, and yeah, we felt he was the best performing.
All right. With that being said, I think it's about time for us to close out for the night. Before we do, real quick, Deus, thank you for joining us here. If anybody wants to be able to find you, where can they find you? What are you up to? Hit us up with what you've been up to, man.
What I've been up to? I've been prowling the Rift, finding the next generation of NA League of Legends talent. Okay, we're crafting them up. The people out here who are casual viewers, you need to understand that our hope and our future, it's in proper hands right now. Okay, we got TSM coming in with their affiliate organization as well, coming in with that TSM Amateur Academy. Oh my God, I messed up my words there. It doesn't matter. All you got to know is I've been working hard. I've been putting in the work, playing TFT, really grinding out here. Okay.
Really grinding. Well, that's
my
right,
Twitter.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah,
At
where's
MVL Deos. Please follow me. I'm lonely.
for more inspirational speeches on the daily, right?
Yes.
Okay, exactly what we need to follow for. Also, Beatdown, what can they find you?
Right
Down
there.
there? Down there?
Beatdown
Oh, I
Cast.
could have done that too, actually.
You could have, yeah.
You just didn't know. It's too late. It's too late.
Well, with that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming in and joining us for Friday Night UPL. With that being said, my name's been Travesty, and we're signing off.
Later, boys.
Thank you.